Alrighty, we're back. So, again, this is a completely and totally impromptu thing that we're doing here today. We are ranking, as you might have seen from the thumbnail and title of this live stream, we are going to be ranking all 47 of the MCU projects that have come out in preparation of Captain America Brave New World, which I am personally very excited about. So, again, this is rather the first live stream that I've ever done, at least, quote unquote, more for real, because I did a couple tests yesterday just to see how it would go, and they went pretty well. I learned a lot, and I'm still going to be learning a lot, so apologies if you're joining and there are some technical difficulties. If anyone is watching, just let me know in the chat or anywhere else that things are, something is not going well. But again, just for fun, purely for fun here, I'm going to switch this image now. This is going to be the first real test of my ability to live stream here using this software. Let's see if this will work, if that will work. Waiting for it to update on the actual stream, and hopefully it'll work. Yes, it does. Okay, fantastic. So that's one thing. That's one concern out of the way. But yeah, so here we are. We are going to be ranking, like I said, all 47 MCU projects. And, I think that number, right, that number 47 is going to be a little bit different for a lot of us, because I think at this point, with how vast and how big the MCU has become, it's a little difficult, because we all, I think, have our own ideas of what projects should be included and what projects shouldn't be included. So, I know a lot of people like to include shows like What If and an upcoming show, or a show that's currently going on right now, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I know a lot of people will include those in their rankings. So, I've seen other videos and whatnot, and those numbers are more like 50, 55. Let me just explain my own personal rationale behind the number 47, which is a crazy number to even think about, by the way. Just crazy number. 47 MCU projects. That is wild. And there was a time when we thought, 23 for the Infinity Saga was a lot, but here we are at 47. So I've always done this. I've never really included the animated projects. Not to say that I think, those animated projects are somehow lesser inherently or anything like that. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. I think that, for me, it's that those animated projects don't feel like they're treated with the same level of canonicity, if you will, as the main MCU projects, right? I think like What If or X-Men 97 or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, yeah, I mean, in a multiverse, right? Of course, they're all considered a part of the grander MCU. I suppose you could consider almost anything under the Marvel banner now a part of the MCU. But then you start getting into conversations about, the original Daredevil movies, the original Fantastic Four movies and whatnot, and do you have to include those because, some of those characters showed up in Deadpool and Wolverine and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So I just like to keep it as simple as possible. We're doing the live action shows, the live action movies, and the 2 special presentations. And I know even with that, there's a little bit of wiggle room. There's a little bit of, I'm not going to say controversy, but there's a little bit of, differentiation there, because some people will consider Agent Carter a part of that. And not that I have any inherent dislike of Agent Carter. I think Agent Carter is great. But actually, to be fair, I meant Agent Carter as a character. I haven't seen the show itself, but, it's not that I have anything inherently against that. I just think it's like the way that the MCU, I think, was quote unquote intended to be viewed is in this, sort of group amalgam of 47 projects, which again, I know there's some wiggle room here and there. And so even within that, I think even within that, there's going to be some discrepancy. And we have a first viewer in the chat. What's up, Drew? How's it going? The View with Drew is in the chat. Again, I appreciate everyone who has taken time to stop by, because this is a totally off the cuff improv thing. I didn't even schedule it ahead of time, with the understanding that people can come back and view this as just a separate, sort of mini podcast episode. I'm imagining as we go through this, we're going to go for maybe an hour and a half, depending on how things are going. It was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday. That's awesome. Hope you had an amazing one. Alrighty, so before we get into the rankings, just want to, again, give a little bit more background information on how I'm going to be doing this, because even within, so not even just including, you know, not just including, or not just talking about what projects I'm going to be including, but now getting onto the, you know, my criteria, like what I'm going to be looking at. And honestly, it's just personal preference. It's just what spoke to me, different projects that I like, you know, over others, which projects I'm most interested in. I'll discuss each one of them, hopefully in short detail, because with 47 of them, we can't spend 10 minutes each. So probably a few minutes each. But yeah, I mean, I do not expect anyone's list to look remotely like mine. I'm sure the top and maybe even the bottoms will look somewhat similar, maybe, but you know, I don't expect our list to look similar at all. And that's totally great, because that is what, you know, that is what this is for, right? That's what our discussion is for. And I think that it's better, you know, to have a really productive, constructive conversation, and to have some disagreements, but in a very respectful way. And so this is just my list, totally just my list. And what I'm also going to do is I have a full list on a separate screen here, where it's all 47 MCU projects chronologically. So going from Iron Man all the way to 47 Agatha all along. And instead of just going, oh, let's start out with Iron Man and then put it on the list and whatnot. And this is going to be my other big test to see if this is going to work. So let me just pull up the document that I have here, 1 second, and see if this is going to work. Sorry guys, just a second here. And it should be live. Okay, so it looks like it is. So here we have, or we should have, there we go. I know my cursor is huge. It's for me personally, but also I think just for viewing purposes, it's just easier to kind of have a giant cursor pointing at something. Anyways, and apologies for just using the MacBook Notes app. It's what we got, so it's what we'll use. But yeah, here, this is where I'm going to be typing in. So just for an example, Iron Man, and then the Incredible Hulk. But instead of just going down the line, so instead of, you know, going one after the other, I have the full list on a separate screen pulled up here. And what we're going to do, the full list of chronological projects, I should say. And what we're going to do is I'm going to be looking also at a random number generator. And we are going to be then, from that random number generator, basically just picking out random projects from 1 through 47. And then that's how we're going to pick which projects to discuss next. And I think for me, you know, that's helpful. In the sense that it doesn't, because I feel like once you start getting in the groove of like, oh yeah, like, you know, Iron Man and then Hulk and then Thor Ragnarok and then Black Panther and then Infinity War, you know, you start going in sequence, right? And I think that it makes the whole process just feel a little bit more stale to me. It makes it feel like, oh yeah, like we've done this before. I've done this, you know, this kind of ranking myself many times. And I think by randomizing it and making it different, you know, I think that it helps to just allow me to think about each individual project on its own, you know, not in the sequence, not in the chronology of the MCU, which is also a fun exercise to do in itself. But I think that this is, you know, it'll be more constructive for me. So again, if anyone is in the chat, I think we have a few people in the chat, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me on a Saturday afternoon. Again, hoping to not go much longer than an hour and a half, but we will see how things go. So with all of that out of the way, let us get to our first project in the MCU. So I have this random number generator pulled up. We are going to pick a number here, and then we'll get going. So the first number up is number 3. And number 3 is, well, I know what number 3 is, but I'm just gonna, for the sake of this, just going to go to my list here, and number 3 is Iron Man 2. And by number 3, I just mean the project that was released third in the MCU. So we have Iron Man 2. Let me pull up, make sure I have my list pulled up and handy. Here we go. That is not updated. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. And there we go. Okay. So coming in at number 1, the one and only project so far, is Iron Man 3. And let me pull up, I have some images here. Let me just see if I can pull up these images here. And that is not the image I wanted to see. Does this work? There we go. Oh no. There we go. Guys, we're figuring this out in real time, which is, I don't know, maybe it's terrifying for you guys. For me, it's a little bit terrifying, but I hope it's exciting for you guys. Anyways, so Iron Man 3. So Iron Man 2. I keep saying the wrong thing. Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 2 to me is a project that, and I've rewatched all of these. I think the last time I rewatched this was actually when I did my initial MCU rewatch ranking for the Infinity Saga, and this was a few years ago now during the pandemic. But Iron Man 2 is a movie where I still maintain has a decent amount of entertainment value. I think that it's, I think the pure Robert Downey Jr. factor of it all makes it entertaining enough to where if you go back and rewatch it, I mean, the film to me is a disaster in terms of just the story. I think there are just so many different things going on. And I've made different videos in the past about how I think that there are certain elements of Iron Man 2 that should have been taken more seriously. I think that if we are going to go with the whole, existential crisis for Tony and the, you're about to die kind of thing with the heart and the arc reactor, I feel like this should have been something that we could have taken a lot more seriously than what the film decided to do. And then, of course, there's the common complaint about the Avengers setup. But, I have to say at the end of the day, Iron Man 2 is still entertaining enough. It has enough interesting action. I think Whiplash, personally, one of the weakest villains of the MCU. And I think that the conflict going on there is not super great, not the most compelling. But I will give it its flowers. We have Iron Man 2 in the first slot, and it's early, so we'll see where it falls in, and I'll talk about these different projects in comparison to one another as this list is filling out. So Iron Man 2, let's pick the next number in the number generator. The next number is number 7. It's only picking pretty low numbers thus far. Number 7 is going to be Iron Man 3. All right, interestingly enough, let me pull up the list again and type it in, and then let me close this out here, and we got Iron Man 3. All right, it's updating live, which is awesome. Yeah, we got Iron Man 3 here on this list. Okay, sorry, I need to make sure I do that. There we go. It should pop up on the stream in just a second. Hopefully it does. Yes, there we go. Okay, so the next project up is Iron Man 3, and Iron Man 3 I think is kind of similar. And I should say these things. I'm putting Iron Man 3 actually, that's not where I wanted to put it at all. I just realized. Let me fix that really quick. I just wrote down Iron Man 3. Sorry, there's like a million things going on in a bunch of different screens, and so I just want to make sure I'm, pressing the right buttons and stuff, and I totally forgot about the ranking itself. But I'm going to put Iron Man 3 above Iron Man 2. And I think, interestingly enough, Iron Man 3 kind of suffers with under very similar problems as Iron Man 2, in the sense that, I think there's a lot of messiness in Iron Man 3. And there are just some character choices that are made by characters in Iron Man 3 that I just can't really get behind. It still baffles me, that whole scene where Tony is talking to the reporters and he's all like, "Hey, this is my address, come and get me." And I'm like, "Oh, for real? That's how we're going to incite the conflict?" Which, if you stop and think about it, for sure. Like, anybody should have known where Tony Stark lived. So that's, in itself, it's not a big deal. But it just feels like some things, don't fit quite well with the plot. Not to mention the whole Trevor Slattery Mandarin thing, which I still, I'm grateful that we got Shang-Chi, which we'll, of course, talk about a little bit later in this live stream. But, I think that what Shane Black was going for was interesting and funny. But I think I've said this many times. What was disappointing to me about that whole Mandarin thing was not the fact that it was a subversion of expectations, but it was because what came before that, this idea that there is a terrorist, right, and someone who is truly going to bring America down to its knees, is what he said, and somebody who really is going to threaten Iron Man in a way that we haven't seen before. And then to have all of that kind of ripped out from under us, and to have this just kind of buffoon, and then we have Guy Pearce. By the way, Guy Pearce is amazing. Like, he's an amazing actor. I'm just reading the chat. Hey JG, what's up? I left a comment. Brave New World video that relates to this video. It's a watch list. Peep it out. Okay, thank you so much. I'll check it out. Hopefully after the live stream. But anyways, getting back to Iron Man 3, I think it was just less of the fact that it was a subversion, but more the fact that it just wasn't. I think what came before, in terms of what they were trying to trick us with, of this really scary Ben Kingsley villain, was just a lot more compelling to me, honestly. And so I am a little bit, I'm always a little bit disappointed when I see that. So Iron Man 3 will come in here at number one now, which is kind of silly to say. But yeah, Iron Man 3 will come in at number 1. All right, let's move on to the next one here. And the next one is number 21. So let me scroll to my list here. And number 21 is Captain Marvel. Okay, Captain Marvel. That's a really interesting one. Let me take this down here and get back to our ranking. Captain Marvel's interesting. I don't hate Captain Marvel. Sorry, I keep forgetting to do this. It's like transitioning on a separate screen, but I need to hit the button to actually make it show up on the live stream, so it should be showing up as we speak. Yeah, Captain Marvel is an interesting one because I don't hate the movie. I don't think many people, other than, there's a very small pocket of people who are just out to get Brie Larson and really are just upset by women leading superhero movies, which is crazy and baffling and wrong. But I mean, I feel like for the rest of the normal everyday movie-going fans, I don't think many people hate Captain Marvel as a movie, the 2019 Captain Marvel film, but I don't think many people love it either. And I think Iron Man 2 is really messy, but I think Captain Marvel is boring. And so it's hard for me. Like, we're already hitting our first conundrum. I'm going to put it under Iron Man 3. I don't know whether to put it above Iron Man 2 or not. And I think for the time being, I really do like Talos and the Skrull twist, right? The fact that, the Skrulls are actually the good guys. But aside from that, it's just hard to remember. Yon-Rogg is such a forgettable villain. No, Iron Man 2 is so messy, though. Iron Man 2 is so messy. But I think it's like, as time goes on, and the further away we get from Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, which, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, so we'll see. But the further we get away from Iron Man as a character being such an integral part of our lives in the MCU, the more I look back on his movies fondly. And so I'm going to put Captain Marvel at number 3, which is, again, not to say that I hate the film. I think it's totally fine. And I think that, let me just pull up the image. I have images for all of them. It would be a shame if we didn't show them here. Because, there we go. Okay. I think that, look, it's just the further we get from Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, the more I miss him. But Captain Marvel as a film, I think, is totally fine. Like I said, the Talos Skrull twist here was really interesting, honestly. And I think that, it's something that MCU projects should explore more. Just the idea of like, who's the villain, right? Like, who are we sort of villainizing in terms of our movies? And so I give it a lot of credit for that. And obviously, it set her up to be one of the most powerful forces in Avengers Endgame, which I maintain her role in Avengers Endgame and the way that they asked, and I'm not blaming Brie Larson. Brie Larson is an amazing actress. But the way that they being the Russos, asked her to play that character as just so arrogant and above it all, in Endgame. And I've rewatched scenes from Endgame, very, very recently, and it just never sits right with me, And also, we'll get to that when we talk about the Marvels, right? But what do you do with a character like this, right? Thor is also overpowered. Wanda is also overpowered, but they have sort of clear weaknesses, I think, in terms of just, I even think their connection they have with their families and with their loved ones. But Captain Marvel, I feel like, was not given that kind of development. And again, this is maybe more of a conversation when we get to the Marvels. But I don't know moving forward what we do with this character on an emotional level. Like, who is she connected to? Monica Rambeau is now out of the picture, so I guess she's probably going to go after Monica. And her chemistry, I'm talking more about the Marvels now, honestly. But, her chemistry with Iman Vellani was good. So we'll have to see about that. But I'm going to put Captain Marvel in the 3 spot. Again, don't hate the film. Just maybe not my favorite MCU film out of them all. Okay, next one up is, it's number 23. So we skipped right over Avengers Endgame. We went from Captain Marvel to Spider-Man Far From Home. Let me take off the image here, pull back up the rankings here, and we are going to put Spider-Man Far From Home very comfortably in the number 1 spot. Now, I know a good many people who think Spider-Man Far From Home isn't that good. And that's totally fine. But like I said at the beginning of this stream, I totally respect everyone who has differing opinion, people who, think differently about these sorts of things. That's totally fine. Because again, these are all our own lists. I think a lot of people forget about Spider-Man Far From Home, frankly, because Homecoming was, I think, the very first big introduction to Peter Parker in the MCU, other than Civil War, obviously. But, No Way Home was No Way Home, right? It was amazing. But I think that Far From Home gets overlooked in that way. And I just adore this film. I think that this movie is so relatable in terms of, for me personally, right? It was not so long ago, it was not such a long time ago that I myself was in school. And the way that they captured the dynamics between Peter Parker and his desire to just be a normal kid, which they talked a lot about in Homecoming as well. But Homecoming, I think, was more about growing into your own, right? And becoming a fully realized person. But I think Far From Home then took that and it was about balancing, right? It was about balancing, okay, I really like this girl. I really like MJ. And I want to go on this trip. I want to have fun. But I also feel this responsibility as Spider-Man. I think No Way Home took that a step further to say, okay, look, now these are the consequences of your decisions to be a superhero in this way. And I think that I think that is such an interesting and well-played theme. I think Mysterio is awesome in this movie. I really do. And I don't know. I think people really underrate this movie, in my opinion, because people just kind of forget that it exists. But I can't say enough good things about Far From Home. And you might be surprised how long it kind of sticks in the upper echelon of my rankings. By the way, these are completely blind rankings. Like, I have a good idea usually of where a lot of these projects will eventually end up, but I never have a predetermined, like, I'm not looking at a predetermined list that I have written out. I'm just gonna, just based on what I see, looking at these lists here, and yeah, my lists change, very slightly every single time. So I think that it's always a fun exercise to go through that. Okay, so Spider-Man Far From Home will be at number 1 for now. Let's move on. The next one is number 26, the 26th project in the MCU, and that will be, let me just take down this image, sorry. There we go. The 26th project in the MCU was Loki, Season 1. Okay, this is interesting. Loki Season 1. I'm going to put Loki Season 1... this is really hard. I'm going to put Loki... For me, it's a question of, does it go above or below Iron Man 3? That's my decision right now. And for me, I think I'm going to put it above Iron Man 3. Oh, no, but do I do that? I think I'm going to put it above Iron Man 3, but I think for me, they exist in a very similar kind of vein. And I'm going to put, I like to do this when I make these rankings, I put an asterisk next to the, which is going to get really confusing when Thunderbolt enters this ranking eventually, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to the TV shows, and then I put two asterisks, I hate that word, that's so hard to say, 2 of them next to the special presentations, just so I can delineate for myself. I'm going to put Loki Season 1 above Iron Man 3. And again, this is one that might be a little bit, more controversial here, because I know a lot of you guys love Loki Season 1, and that's great. Here's the thing about Loki Season 1, and I've said this many times, and I think the more that I think about it, the more that I feel like this is, for me, it's how I feel, is that it's so inconsistent. It's incredibly inconsistent. And, it's harder too, looking at these TV shows in comparison to these movies, because it's hard because movies can't really afford to be that inconsistent. Like, maybe a movie like The Marvels is kind of weird and wacky in terms of where it goes all over the place. Oops, sorry, I just bumped into my keyboard. And, that's fair. But TV shows can change so drastically episode by episode. And not just TV shows, MCU TV shows can change so incredibly drastically episode by episode. And it's difficult because how do you judge that, right? Because for me, I loved the first 2 episodes of Loki. You guys don't understand. When I first watched Loki, and actually you guys might be able to understand because it's all on the channel. I have reviews of all 6 episodes of Loki when they originally came out. This was 4 years ago now, almost 3.5 years ago. And I loved those first 2 episodes of Loki Season 1. Also, I'm separating Loki Season 1 and Loki Season 2 because that is what Marvel decided to do. So we're just following Marvel's guidelines here. Anyways, yeah, I loved the first 2 episodes. But then that Lamentis episode was probably one of my least favorite MCU Disney Plus episodes of all time. And then, episode 4 was really quite good. And episode 5 was the one in the Void. And I thought that one was okay. And then again, we're not here to talk about any of the personal drama with Jonathan Majors and whatnot. But, the performance, I said it at the time, way before any of the Jonathan Majors stuff came out, I just could not get behind it. It's a personal thing because some of my friends really enjoy that performance from Jonathan Majors in the end of Loki as He Who Remains. I hated it. I could not stand it. And if that, that's the ending, right? That's the last thing you're going to see. it just tanked the show for me. And so I don't know. Like it's really hard for me every time to rank Loki. So I put it at number 2 behind Spider-Man Far From Home. But it's hard because I think for a show like this, it has such potential, right? It has such high potential, and yet it's hard for me to put it much higher because I just don't think it was able to really stick the landing in a way that was satisfying. So Loki season 1 is going to be at number 2 for now, but I think that one will shift down just a little bit as we move along here. Okay, here we go. I don't know. Maybe I should pick up the pace a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. I'm happy to stay on for a while if people are here to just hang out. I know some people are still here in the chat. So number 37 is the next one up, and number 37 is Werewolf by Night. Very interesting. It becomes very difficult to to rank these different kinds of projects here because of how different they are in nature, right? I just talked about that with Loki, but we're gonna do our best here, and I'm gonna put Werewolf by Night comfortably. This one's not really hard for me. Werewolf by Night's going in at number 2. Werewolf by Night to me is not my kind of thing, generally speaking. It's not horror per se. It's sort of gothic, I guess, and like the monstrous, and dealing with that sort of thing. But I just thought the execution of Werewolf by Night was so solid. Let me see if the picture can come up. There we go. It was so solid to me that I couldn't help but really enjoy this little special presentation that they did here. Again, it's usually not my thing. It's just like this kind of horror-ish kind of vibe. Usually not my sort of cup of tea. But I thought that the execution was so solid. Michael Giacchino, by the way. Kudos to you, Michael Giacchino, because that, your first directing gig, and it was Werewolf by Night, awesome. Great job. I don't know if part of the reason it's not, ridiculously high on my lists usually is because he hasn't shown up again, and it feels kind of weird because, this is the whole MCU-ness of it all, that there's, 16 projects, or sorry, what am I saying, 16 projects? There's like 47 projects, and there's 47 projects, and he just hasn't shown up in anything since. And I don't know if that's a feature or that's a bug. Maybe I should get over myself and just start looking at these as individual projects. I don't know, but it's hard because he just hasn't made an impact in the MCU. But anyways, just looking at Werewolf by Night alone, I think it's just so incredibly solid. And I think for what they were going for, they succeeded incredibly well. So Werewolf by Night will be going in at number number 2 for now, and that will be that. Okay, next one up here is number 20, and I'm sure we're going to get some duplicate numbers eventually, and I'm just going to have to start really going after the, spamming the generator. Number 20 is an interesting one as well. We haven't really hit the sort of obvious bottom and top tier ones for me. These actually, very interestingly, have all just sort of hung around in the middle. Like, I think, maybe like these two are kind of lower tier MCU for me. These two are kind of middling MCU for me. This is like good tier, and this is really good tier. But we haven't really hit the very highs and the super highs and the super lows as of yet. But anyways, next one up is Ant-Man and the Wasp, 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, coming after Avengers Infinity War and before Avengers Endgame. This is a film also, much like Spider-Man Far From Home. I talk about them similarly. I don't necessarily think they're similar in quality per se, but I talk about them similarly because I think people forget about them. I think people completely forget about them and underrate them because they just kind of happen. They're the sequels that, the third ones are the more interesting ones to talk about, Quantumania and No Way Home. But I really enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's not ridiculously deep. It's not super consequential or anything like that, but it's just fun. And so for me, I would comfortably put Ant-Man and the Wasp here at number 3. I think Werewolf by Night just had a little bit more going for it stylistically. And I think that is what, like, again, I love Paul Rudd. So Paul Rudd has sort of that Robert Downey Jr. factor to him right now in the MCU, where yes, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, we'll talk about it later. Not my favorite thing in the world, but like Paul Rudd is amazing. I love just seeing him show up in the MCU in different places. And, because of that, I am just, even if it's a quote unquote bad project, which I don't think Ant-Man and the Wasp is. People are like, Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of the weaker projects in the MCU. And I'm like, really? I mean, if you believe that, that's great. Totally respect your opinion. But I feel like people are just not, I don't know, they're not as kind to it as I think they should be, because it's just sort of one of the more forgettable ones. But I think on its own, it's really funny. It's really solid. Paul Rudd, again, is just so good in this role. He is so funny and so charming and charismatic, it's hard for me not to like this movie. So I'm going to put it here. Where did I put it? I put it at number 3, I think. Sorry, I have to switch screens all the time here. And yep, let's go there. Let's go there. And Ant-Man and the Wasp will be coming in at number 3. Okay. Keep on chugging along. At a certain point too, I might have to, I don't have my water with me, so I might have to just not pause the stream, but just shut my mic off and get some water really quick. Hopefully that's okay with you guys, but that'll be in a little bit. Been talking for a little while now, and so I just don't want to ruin my voice or anything like that. Next one up is, we just did 21. So again, we're starting to see repeats now, which is Captain Marvel. Number 15. What is number 15 here? Number 15. Oh, interesting. Okay. Number 15 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Okay. Let me just switch back to here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Okay, interesting. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is also a hard one for me. This is not as easy as I remember it being. And I see Anthony has joined the chat. What's up, Anthony? Good to see you. Just doing a live stream here. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is a hard one for me because it's a little much. You know, we've been talking about how James Gunn has really gone full James Gunn, right? And I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was sort of a little bit like that, although not really. Like it was okay. In terms of how far James Gunn went, I mean. But the emotional stuff at the end with Yondu is so great. It's so great. And yeah, I don't know. I really do enjoy that. I'm going to put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 probably here. And I know a lot of people are a lot higher on these Guardians films in general than I am. And that's totally great. You know, I totally respect that. I think that when James Gunn goes a little too James Gunn, maybe I tend to notice it a little bit more, which is odd because maybe I didn't notice it as much in Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. Maybe that's just because no, but that's not true. I was going to say maybe it's because I just had better understanding that he just wasn't going to be as sentimental. But then I had that same expectation going into Creature Commandos, and I didn't end up really liking Creature Commandos that much. So I don't know what it is. But I think that with Guardians 2, you know, I just think it's a weird thing for me because I love the sentimentality at the end. I really do. Some of the jokes are super funny. Baby Groot is adorable, right? And so yeah, I can feel pretty comfortable. In fact, I'm looking at this list now and I'm debating whether I should move it above Werewolf by Night, but I don't think so. I'm going to leave it because I just think Werewolf by Night is so solid for what it is. Like, it's so unabashedly what it is. So I'm going to leave it there. But anyways, yeah, I think that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is, I think it's an example of a movie that has a lot of the great things that made the first one really good, but just couldn't quite deliver on that same level that I was hoping for. So I'm going to put it there at number 3 for now. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to, in the interest of time, because we've only done like 7 of these, I'm going to start moving a little bit quicker, I think. We'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. So number 20 is the next one up. We just did that. Ant-Man and the Wasp, next one up. 23, we did that. Far From Home. Number 9. What is number 9? Number 9, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. All right, guys. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Let me take down, sorry, moving parts here. Let me take down this list. Let me put it back up. Okay, great. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is easy. Well, I say that. I forgot about Spider-Man Far From Home. You guys may not have believed me when I said how much I love Spider-Man Far From Home. And you guys might be screaming at me. You know, why in the world would you put Captain America, the Winter Soldier under Spider-Man Far From Home? Why are you even considering it? And it says less to me about Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and speaks more to just how much Spider-Man Far From Home speaks to me every single time I watch it. And yeah, I don't know. This is so tough because Captain America, Winter Soldier was revolutionary. And I think that it has the heart. You know, one thing that you'll notice about me in my lists is that one of the key factors that speaks to me personally is emotion and heart. And I'm not to say that, you know, if I don't cry in a movie or whatever, that it's going to automatically be bumped down to the next tier. Nothing like that. But it helps, right? It helps to really speak to me on an emotional level. And I think that Winter Soldier has that too, by the way. I'm not saying Winter Soldier doesn't have that. But Far From Home also has that as well. I think it's close. I think that those two films to me are very closely intertwined. And in my head, oh gosh, in my head, I'm going to go, yep, I'm going to do it. And you guys are going to be mad about it. And that's, you know what? That's totally okay. Captain America, the Winter Soldier, for me, is at number 2. Again, Nothing against Winter Soldier. I love Winter Soldier. Those two films will stay up near the top for a good long while. I know there are those of you in the chat who will say Captain America: The Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie ever made, and I respect it. I totally do. To me, and I don't think, I don't think many people think this way, but I do. I think Winter Soldier is a little bit more, it lacks that oomph. Like, it is, throughout the film, it is so ridiculously competently made and ridiculously, well shot, and the script is great and the story is great. But when I look at this film in comparison to your Civil Wars or your Ragnaroks, it lacks that oomph factor to me. Like, and this is maybe unfair, right, in comparison to the rest of the MCU. And so again, this is a totally personal and subjective thing. And if Captain America: Winter Soldier is your favorite, amazing. That is awesome. But and it's close. I'm going to put it at number 2 for now. So we have I think that's probably going to be our very first big controversy of this live stream. Moving on to the next one here, we have, going all the way from 9 to 38. Number 38. 38, interesting. 38 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And this one is also one where I can definitely see sort of mileage may vary based on how you feel about the whole situation about Chadwick Boseman. But for me, it's pretty easy. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to go there. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is my number 1 film thus far. I think, and I've talked about this in recent episodes of the Access Blockbusters pod, I think that, even if they do recast T'Challa, right, in the upcoming movies with the multiverse and whatnot, even if they do, that is totally fine with me, because I've said this before, Wakanda Forever was, to me, the right film at the right time. I think that it was the movie that I needed to watch personally, just to feel that kind of catharsis. It was the movie for me that I just felt that, what is this? Sorry, what is this going on? Hey, I see in the chat here, Rabid for Rachel. Totally respect your opinion. I will tell you I am not Gen Alpha, if that's what you're curious about. Again, just here to talk about my list, just here to talk about my own personal list. Feel free to share your thoughts, but be respectful in the chat. Anyways, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It was the movie that I feel like spoke to me at the right time. And I definitely understand why a lot of people felt that it wasn't the movie for them. What's up, Supervise? Good to see you again. But I just think that this was what was, right at the time. And I think really for me, the biggest, discouragement for me, the biggest discouragement, but the biggest detriment to the film was the ending. I think the ending felt a little bit weak in comparison to, the rest of the film. I think that I've always said that it feels like the ending was a little bit, it felt like it was missing something. It felt like it was missing a sort of tangential subplot or like a B plot where the United States was going after Wakanda and Vibranium, which maybe Kevin Feige was like, cut that out. Because we're gonna do that later. Maybe in Brave New World, it's gonna show up again because of adamantium. Who knows, right? Who knows? So again, I know that Wakanda Forever is perhaps I think this one has the highest variance out of all of them so far. But I definitely think that, I think this is going to be number 1 for me. So there is that. Let me take down this picture here as we continue barreling on forward. Okay, here we go. By the way, just to address that comment there from you, Rabbit for Rachel, I watched Captain America: Winter Soldier in the theater. I watched pretty much all these movies in the theater, and I love Winter Soldier. I really do. Because, I think it was revolutionary. I think it was amazing. But I just think that Spider-Man: Far From Home emotionally just spoke to me a little bit more. But again, I love both movies. So anyways, moving on here. Number 21, we just did that. Number 18. Okay, 18 is the next film up on the list. Did we already do 18? No, we did not. 18, ironically enough, is the first Black Panther. And for as much as I love Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I think the first Black Panther is better. I think that every time you watch that movie, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how much depth they're able to get out of a movie like that, where, a comic book movie, right? Which I think it was nominated for Best Picture. And I don't know, in hindsight, maybe it shouldn't have. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been nominated for Best Picture. But I just think that this was a film that elevated a lot of different things that were going on in the comic book movie space, in the comic book movie genre at the time. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger is incredible. He is incredible as Killmonger. The action is fantastic, but the story, right? The story about, it's a geopolitical story, honestly, as well. It's about, isolationism and sharing resources, and insiders and outsiders, and how we treat people who are not from our country or not from our nation. It's so powerful, and there's so much good going on in that film. And not to mention Chadwick Boseman, of course. We can't, rest in peace to just the legend that was Chadwick Boseman. And I think that this film encapsulates just so much of what went right with Marvel, and just Ryan Coogler as a filmmaker as well, is that they just were able to take all of it, encapsulate it, and put it into one amazing, amazing film. I love the first Black Panther. I see you in the chat here. Most of these movies are dumpster juice. I mean, in general, that's, again, totally fine. You're totally entitled to your opinion. I'm just here to share mine. And I love a lot of the MCU, as you probably can tell. Alrighty, let's move on to the next one here. So this is our working list so far, and we are going to number two. Number two, and we already know what this one is. Number 2 is The Incredible Hulk. And The Incredible Hulk, sorry to say, for those of you who are Incredible Hulk apologists, is going at number 12. I don't know, guys. I've seen this film now because I've probably done, oh gosh, I don't even want to know how many rewatches of the MCU I've done, or at least the Infinity Saga that I've done. But every single time I watch The Incredible Hulk, I just can't get behind this film. It's so drab, and not to say that MCU films can't be serious. You'll see later that a film like Infinity War is very high on my list. So it's not that MCU films can't be dark. It's not that they can't be serious or whatnot. Logan is one of my favorite movies in general. Just in general, I love Logan. But The Incredible Hulk it just suffers from that same thing, but to like the nth degree that I think Captain Marvel does. It is so boring to me and so uninteresting. I think Ed Norton is a fantastic actor. I just recently watched A Complete Unknown with Timothée Chalamet and Edward Norton. He's fantastic. He's nominated for Best Supporting Actor, rightfully so. He did great as Seeger, I believe. Pete Seeger was the character's name. He did amazing. Ed Norton is a fantastic actor, but as the Hulk, and maybe this is unfair because we're comparing him, to Mark Ruffalo, who came immediately after and has stuck for 20 years basically, and that's totally an aside. But so maybe it's unfair, but I just think that every time I watch this movie, I'm looking like I go into every single one of these films with as open of a mind as I possibly can to be surprised, because it would delight me to no end if I rewatch The Incredible Hulk and I go, oh, you know what? This is now in the top 10 of the MCU for me. It just hasn't happened yet. So it's going in at the bottom at number, I don't even know what number we're at now. We are at number 12. So we're chugging along here, maybe about a quarter of the way through the rankings. Alrighty, let's keep on chugging here. Again, I keep saying I want to go faster here. It's not happening, but for the sake of my voice as well, I need to start going a little bit faster here. Next one up, number 17. In chronological release order is Thor Ragnarok. Okay, what an exciting one. That's fun. Thor Ragnarok, interesting. I will put Thor Ragnarok. And again, I said this, earlier in the live stream. It's not just about emotion, right? Like, I'm not automatically gonna upgrade or downgrade a film based on emotion. It's the holistic package that I'm looking for. And Thor Ragnarok is hilarious. It revitalized Thor in a way that I just didn't think was possible. And so, in that sense, I love Thor Ragnarok. It is one of the most, I made a video about this a long time ago, where I talked about the most rewatchable MCU films. And Thor Ragnarok, to me, is one of it was at the time when it was just the Infinity Saga, but now with 47 projects, I don't know where it would land. But it probably would still be top 3 most rewatchable MCU project. It's so funny, it's so silly and irreverent, but it still has that sliver of Thor, serious Thor that I think the Russos really accentuated. I still, to this day, I say that the best version of Thor was in Infinity War. The absolute best version of Thor. And then one of the worst versions of Thor, in my opinion, was in Endgame. So it was kind of bizarre to me that the Russos did both. But anyways, Thor Ragnarok, in that regard, I think will go I think we'll probably slot in at number. Let's see. It's gonna be definitely top 5 here. Like it's within this bracket here right now, and I'm going to put it for now at number 5. Because again, I think it has so much going for it. It's so fun. I think the ending and Hela and whatnot, I think Hela is not my favorite MCU villain, right? I think that she is one. It's one of those cases where a really great actress, gives it a good performance, a very charismatic performance as an MCU character. Usually the villains, let's be honest. Yeah, I think that, she gave a great performance. She was really funny when she needed to be funny. But ultimately her character just wasn't super interesting to me. And so again, I don't know. I think that the rest of the film though is hilarious. Everything else in it is great. And it's just so consistently funny, and it's so consistently good. And so I will put it for now at number 5. Alrighty. Let us keep moving here. Take down that and put that up. Alrighty. Let's jump now to the next generated number here, and that will be number 41. Okay, number 41. Number 41, scrolling down here, is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Interesting. Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think I like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 better than I like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, so it's going to be above here. Do I like it better than Werewolf by Night? Again, because I've said it, I'm not as huge on these Guardians films as a lot of other people are, to be quite honest with you. I think I'm gonna put it here. Yeah, because like I said, it's weird. I know it looks weird for now, and it'll probably look weird at the very end too. That Werewolf by Night is up here, quote unquote, that high, But I just think that it was so solid for what it was that I just, it's hard for me to kind of poke holes into it. I really enjoyed Werewolf by Night, but anyways, I think Guardians 3 had more of that emotional oomph behind it, right? It was, obviously it was the Rocket story. It was just that whole backstory was heartbreaking. And for those of us who are Rocket fans, it was a great piece of writing from James Gunn to be like, yeah, this is the story that we're telling for Rocket's backstory. And Chukwudi Iwuji, who plays the High Evolutionary, he was also Myrn in Peacemaker, was great as the High Evolutionary, just a guy you hated because he was just such a monster in that movie. I think that, again, similar to Volume 2, some of the James Gunn-iness of it all came out a lot more than I think in the first Guardians film. I'm specifically thinking of a couple scenes. Like, it was funny, right? Those scenes in isolation are funny. I think the button scene, red is for go and yellow is for stop and whatever. Like that scene was really funny. I'm thinking about the couch scene when they're in that animal person's house, and there's this 5-minute extended scene of banter just about the couch and Drax putting his feet up on the couch. And to me, that's just, I don't know, that's just a little bit too much. Like, I get it. James Gunn wants to have those moments with these characters, and I totally get it. But in a movie, right, in a 2.5-hour movie, like, let's keep moving, maybe, is my thought there. And at the end, I honestly don't think the movie is as emotional. No, I'm not talking about the Rocket stuff. The Rocket stuff is horrifying, and I think very intentionally so. And so in that respect, it was very sad. But I'm talking about just at the very end, we all thought all the Guardians were going to die in this movie, and they all survived, basically. And it's sad to see them go, right? Go their separate ways, I should say. But, I just didn't quite feel that oomph, and maybe it's just because I'm not as big of a Guardians fan as a lot of other people are. So I'm going to put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What spot did we put it at? Let me just take this down here so we can see the list again. There we go. Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will be at number 7 for now. Okay, let us keep moving along here. Number 45. 45, is that Echo? I think that's Echo. Number 45 is indeed Echo. Okay, Echo is interesting. Echo is very, very interesting because, okay, Echo. So Echo was the sort of, poster child. That's the word I was looking for. Poster child for that whole Bob Chapek, like, hey, let's just make series about every single character that we have because we need Disney Plus content. I'm talking about Echo. We're talking about probably Secret Invasion was in that bucket as well. Probably the She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight category as well, and whatnot. And I don't even know. Maybe it extended as far back as your Hawkeyes and your Lokis as well. I don't know the exact behind the scenes there, but Echo was the poster child, and it was so much so that they decided to release all of it in one go in 5 episodes. And that really signaled, red alert, right? Red flags. This is not a good sign, because it shows they don't want that word of mouth spreading at all about this show. And so it came out January of 2024, right? Yeah, 2024. It's crazy. It came out this year. So Echo came out earlier, or not this year, this past year. What am I saying? Anyways, Echo came out this past year, and it came out all in one go. The trailers, though, looked really good for Echo. I remember the trailers looked really solid for Echo. It looked almost like a continuation of Daredevil, like that kind of vibe. And I watched the show. We haven't really talked about it at all because, is there any reason to talk about it? Like, she hasn't come up in the MCU again, and it just wasn't a super memorable project to me. And in that same vein, it just wasn't memorable. Like, I don't think it was a bad series. Honestly, I don't. I struggle to say, just to remember much of anything that happens in that series besides the ending with, her putting Wilson Fisk into that memory zone or whatever. But again, and the Daredevil fight at the beginning, and her friends were fun. Her friends were fun to hang around as well. Her family was interesting. So again, I struggle to say anything bad about it either in that regard. Like, nothing stood out as heinous to me in terms of filmmaking. Like, oh my gosh, the writing was terrible and the acting was, no, like, Alako Cox was really good as Maya Lopez, and Vincent D'Onofrio was good as always as Kingpin. It's so hard because it's so unmemorable. I will probably put it here. I think I'm gonna put it here. I think that is a solid enough place for me to put it there, because again, I just think that Marvel signaled that it had no confidence in the show, and when it came out, maybe it was just because I was pleasantly surprised by it, but I was like, oh no, this isn't that bad. I thought I didn't think it was that bad, but again, I don't know. It was weird to me how little faith Marvel had in this show. But again, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. And it was sorry, I'm just trying to check some settings here really quick. Kind of doing a couple things here. Okay. So I don't know. I think that it was a show that had a lot of potential for sure. If they really want, you can make shows about any character. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what character you make a show about. But again, I think that it's hard because it seemed like Marvel just didn't have enough faith in this show to really put it there, or to really put the full court press on it there. Sorry, I was adjusting some settings there and just wanted to make sure that things were going well. So things are going well. So Echo will be in that spot. Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to click that, meant to click this. Alrighty, let's keep going here. Next one up, number 40. Number 40, we actually did already. Oh no, we did not. Number 40, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. All right, Quantumania. Where am I going to put you? Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Quantumania is a film that I don't hate. I think it's actually fine, and like I said, it has the Paul Rudd factor. The Paul Rudd factor. There are a few characters in the MCU that have that factor where it's like when they're on screen, no matter how bad the project is, you really enjoy seeing them again. And Paul Rudd is just one of those characters. I liked Cassie a lot too. I like the Pym family a lot. Wasp is okay. Evangeline Lilly she's fine in the role. But I didn't hate Quantumania as much. Again, not here to talk about the personal drama of Jonathan Majors. That is not what this is for. But I will say that Quantumania, it's totally okay to me, like just as a film, but it's not memorable at all. I'm going to put it probably here, which I know a lot of you guys really don't like the movie, and that's totally fair. How do you spell Quantumania? There we go. I know a lot of you guys really don't like the film. Totally fair. I just think it's totally fine. I don't hate it at all. And I think that performance alone, I think that Jonathan, sorry, I'm trying to adjust the picture here in real time. There we go. Okay, there we go. I think that Jonathan Majors, as a performance, right? I think he gave a really good, scary performance as Kang the Conqueror. Sans being, destroyed by ants, right? That was not the best thing in the world. But yeah, I think he gave a very menacing performance as Kang the Conqueror. MODOK, CGI aside, because for me, I've said this many times before, CGI and visual effects rarely make or break something for me because, yeah, I mean, the Quantum Realm looked very volumey and MODOK didn't look great in a lot of shots. But if the story and the characters are there for me, I'm good with it, you know? There are some exceptions that break the rule, right? And I can't think of one in the negative sense where it's the visuals were so bad that it really knocked the film down. But in the positive sense, you know, Avatar: The Way of Water was a film that was like, oh, the visuals are so good that it really hikes up the film to the next level. And so there are films for sure. But, you know, I'm not as bothered by a lot of the other things. And I think MODOK as a character was fine. It was totally fine. The whole freedom fighters with the Quantum Realm people, not super interesting. But yeah, I think the film is okay. And that's really all I really want to say about it. So Quantum Mania is going to fit in at, pulling up the list again, it's coming in at number 12. Okay. Next one up is number 33. Number 33 here is going to be Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So it's very interesting that those two films are back-to-back here in the random generator because I think they're very similar. I think Doctor Strange 2 is totally fine. You know, I think it's fine. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's totally fine. So I think for that reason, I'm going to put it somewhere in this range here. And I will say, do I like it better or worse? I like Iron Man 3 a little bit better. Yeah, we're going to put it here. I am one of those people, by the way, who, as I've talked about many times on this channel, I don't think the Elizabeth Olsen, you know, Wanda going bad was out of character for her. I know a lot of people have said that, and I've had many discussions with people in the comments, and that's great. You know, totally happy to have those discussions. But Wanda Maximoff Breaking Bad was not the reason it's not higher. I think the movie just kind of is jumbled, and the second act of the movie is so weirdly paced, and it's so odd, and it's so it doesn't feel like it's super consequential, and it just feels weird, and the Illuminati stuff just kind of comes out of nowhere, which it's cool. Like, you know, the hype around John Krasinski and Patrick Stewart and all that kind of stuff was great. It was really great. But again, I just think that the film is so okay, and I just, like, there's not a whole lot memorable about it other than it was just sort of a fun ride through a couple universes, which I know people's complaint was, why are you calling it Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness when it's, you know, it's just a couple universes? That's not really my problem with it. My problem was just that you could have been way more inventive with the whole thing. And it just was a 3/8 basically. But I liked a lot of Wanda's stuff in Multiverse of Madness. I did not like when Sam Raimi just used her as a generic horror villain, like in those underground tunnels under the Illuminati complex. But that to me never sits right. Like, she is a full-fledged character. Just to use her as kind of a monster, like that I agree with. But her character development and stuff like that, I totally buy that. So there we go. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will come in at the number 12 spot, just taking the place of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I'm going to do a few more here, and then I'm going to take a quick break to get some water and rest the voice, and then we will come right back. So next one up here is, and this has been fun for me, guys. I don't know if you guys are having fun, but I'm having fun. Anyways, the next one up is number 47, Agatha All Along. Agatha All Along. All right, Agatha All Along surprised me. You know, it's a show that I had reviewed every single episode, or did a spoiler discussion of every single episode. We're gonna have to start scrolling now. This list is getting long already. We're not even halfway done. I said I wanted to be here an hour and a half. I'm probably gonna go for maybe another hour or so based on this pace. But anyways, yeah. So Agatha All Along surprised me a lot because I think that it really wasn't a show for me in particular. Until the ending. The ending really sold me on what this show was, because it showed me that Jack Schaefer had a solid understanding of the whole story. And I think that's a really great thing to see. That she really understood what the story was about. And, you know, I kind of thought, oh, is it just kind of a case of every single episode just kind of going by and then, you know, all that kind of stuff. But no, I think that Jack Schaefer really had a good grasp of the overarching story. The individual episodes, you know, the standalone episodes were not my favorite though. So like the middle chunk was not my favorite at all. But I would put it, let's see. Would I put it under Werewolf by Night? I only gave it one asterisk, I just realized. Would I put it under Werewolf by Night and above Guardians? I would put it under Guardians, I think. I will put it probably under Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm going to put it here. And truthfully, you know, looking at this list now, I think a lot of space is going to be put here. Like, a lot of things are going to be put in here. I think there is a decent enough gap between Agatha All Along and Loki Season 1. Although maybe not. But, yeah, I just think Ant-Man and the Wasp is so fun. I don't know, whatever. Like I think Ant-Man and the Wasp is just fun, and so that's why I'm gonna put it there. But yeah, let me pull up the image here really quickly, just to talk about it for a couple seconds. Agatha All Along, I think it's fun. I think some of the episodes, the individual witch episodes spoke to me a little bit more than others. That being said, again, I didn't like a lot of, or not a lot, I didn't like some of them holistically. So it's kind of hard for me to put it much higher because a couple of those witch episodes in the middle, I was like, not that interested in it. Like the rock band episode, I know a lot of people liked it. I didn't personally. But the Lily episode 7, and then episode 8 and 9 really revealing what was going on there. Really, really, really solid. So I ended up enjoying Agatha a lot more than I thought I would. All right, next one up. Number 41. Did we do number 41? We did. That's Guardians 3. Let's press the button again. 25. I don't think... Oh, I know what 25 is. 25 is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Interesting. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a project that, every time... So I've only seen it twice, to be fair, holistically. I've only seen it twice in totality, and every time I watched it, like the first and the second time, I didn't remember liking it that much. And I did my rewatch, Phase 4 rewatch video of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I didn't seem to like it that much at the time. And yet, every time I look back on it, I think about it more favorably, which is a really weird thing. Maybe it's the whole Captain America Brave New World, kind of seeing where it's going that makes it a little bit higher to me than other projects. But yeah, it's hard because it usually ends up pretty low on these lists, but I can't help but think about it a little bit more favorably. That being said, it's really messy. The finale, I think, is pretty underrated, but there's a whole John Walker subplot here that frankly just wasn't going anywhere. And then there was the vaccine subplot, I think, that got cut out because it was too intertwined with real world events at the time. And so the ending was just kind of messy. I think the finale in isolation was pretty solid, honestly. And like I said, a lot of the stuff about between Isaiah and between Sam, talking about a black man becoming Captain America and how America just would not accept him, but how Sam took up the shield. Anyway, I think it's great. I love all that stuff. So a lot of it stands out to me as being good. But then I also remember just really not being into a lot of the middle stuff. So I'm going to put it somewhere in here, I think. And, I just realized I did that. There we go. I'm going to put it probably... It's gonna jump up a little bit because the last time I ranked it, it was probably right after the Phase 4 rewatch, and I don't know. Maybe it's in comparison to the rest of Phase 4 that I don't like it that much, but I think it's better than Iron Man 2. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Again, I didn't love any of it as much as I loved Loki season 1, right? So I think it's definitely below there. But I think that it also had its problems. I think I feel good about that. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier, again, there are a lot of things in that show that I really like. There are a lot of things that I think are very messy and not handled well. I like Zemo. I like Sam. I like Bucky. Sharon was Sharon. I think that's one of the things that I never liked. Yeah, I'm remembering it now. One of the things that never really sat well with me was the whole Sharon being the power broker kind of stuff. Not a big fan, honestly. So that will definitely knock it down a few layers. Okay, guys, I'm going to take literally 30 seconds. I'm going to just run over and get some water just to prevent my voice from completely dying out on this stream. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere in just 1 second. Alrighty, looks like the levels are back on. The mic levels are back on. Let me know in the chat if you guys are hanging out still. Let me know in the chat if the there are any audio problems at any point, but we're going to head back into it. So this is the list so far. We are about halfway through, which is crazy. We're still actually under halfway through. So I really got to pick up the pace here, because my intention was not to be here for that long, but it looks like it's 47 projects. What can I say? There's a lot to talk about. So anyways, let's get back to the generator here and go to number 22. Number 22, we all, or at least I know exactly what this one is. Avengers Endgame. I was recently rewatching some clips here from Endgame, and it's hard because Endgame was the perfect movie for what it was, right? For what it was perfect. But as an individual movie, it's really hard to rate it, because how do you rate an experience like that, There are things about Endgame I don't like, to be fair. I've softened a little bit. I know one of my complaints previously was the use of pop music everywhere. I've softened on that a little bit just because I've seen the film so many times that it's like, it's just part of it now. Thor is still a problem to me, honestly. And there's some time travel-y kind of stuff going on that I just, was it the cleanest way to do it? No. But you understand that it's all a means to an end, right? And the means to an end is that you want to revisit a lot of the best moments from the MCU, right? That is what the film was trying to do. And so how do you rate it, right? I'm gonna put it probably, this is hard, I think I'm gonna put it at number 2. It's so hard because I'm sure I could nitpick this movie to death if I really wanted to, but this is why we have our own subjective lists, right? Like, do I want to? Is it a constructive thing for me to nitpick it to death? I don't think so. I think, like, this is a movie that, let me just pull up the picture here. This is a movie I love, and it's hard to replace the theater experience of that movie. It's hard to replace the emotions I have every single time I watch it. And I think that we can all have film debates about the movie and whatnot, but for me, it is just such the perfect movie for what it is. And what it is was a culmination of just so much goodness that had come before in the MCU. So Avengers Endgame will be coming in here at number 2. Alrighty, guys. Let's keep on rolling here. Number 7, did we do number 7? Oh, I think we did not. No, is 7 Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3? Yes, it is. Okay. I was thinking about 8 with Thor the Dark World, so that's what I was thinking of. 22 we did. 14 we have not done. 14 is Doctor Strange, I believe. And yes, it is. It is Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange. I really enjoy the first Doctor Strange. I think that it harkens back to the origin story kind of MCU films, right? When the MCU was doing a lot of origin story films. And so I think Doctor Strange it's really solid. I would put it somewhere in this range. And do I like Doctor Strange more than Ant-Man and the Wasp? Is the question. I think I do. Yeah, I definitely do. Do I like it more than Guardians Volume 2? Is the question. I don't think so. No, I think Guardians 2 still, I really like the Guardians. I think it's funny, it's emotional. Doctor Strange is just really solid as a movie, and I think that this is an era where like the Doctor Stranges of the world was sort of the floor of MCU's Phase 3, right? And that's incredible, right? To have a film as solid as Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange, it's incredible that the MCU was able to maintain that kind of consistency. So I think I'm going to put the first Doctor Strange up here, kind of in the middle of the pack. But, again, really, really solid movie to me. Okay, let's keep on going. So number 10 for now is Doctor Strange. The next movie up is the 31st MCU project. I think we did that already. It is... Oh, we haven't. Okay. The 31st MCU project is one that you guys are all going to enjoy, because the 31st one is Spider-Man No Way Home. All right, so the Spider-Man No Way Home, I mean, definitely better than it's going to be in this range. The question is where, and it's so hard, because when you get up here, Endgame starts to become a stumbling block for me, because it's like, where do you even go move around Endgame, right? Because again, like you can maneuver, you can nitpick Endgame to death, right? You can say all these things about Endgame as a film, but just it's so hard to replace that experience of Endgame. I think No Way Home will it go above Wakanda Forever? I had some problems with No Way Home the last time I saw it. By problems, I mean very minor things. Where I was watching it, you can go check out the rewatch video I did about a year ago, where basically I was like, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The beginning and sort of the like the end of Act One and the beginning of Act Two were a little bit slower to me than I thought they were going to be. But the beginning and Act Three are so good and so yeah. I mean, when Peter says goodbye to MJ and Ned, it's an example to me of writing where you don't have to kill characters to bring out emotion. It's so emotional to me, and so gosh, three or four. Um, Three or four. Because Spider-Man No Way Home had a better landing than Wakanda Forever, because I love Wakanda Forever, but I think Spider-Man No Way Home stuck the landing better. And Spider-Man No Way Home's ending was one of the best that I've seen. I'm going to put it at number three. Yeah, for all the reasons I said earlier, let's pull up the picture here just for fun. There we go. There we go. Sorry, was I not showing the list the whole time? That is on me. 1 second. No, I was. Wait, was I? Anyways, you guys will let me know in the chat. But this is the list so far. But let me pull up the No Way Home list, or No Way Home picture up here. And yeah, I mean, I just think that, the way that they were able to execute this crazy concept is remarkable. And I don't know how they did it. We live in a world where there is a movie with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland. It's crazy. I can't believe we live in that world. And so the film will be at the number 3 spot for me. This is hard though. Like up here, it's hard. It's getting difficult. And there are going to be other movies that are going to start shuffling those ones around as well. So we are not even at the best stuff because I just picked number 6, and number 6 is The Avengers. Okay. The Avengers. The Avengers it's sort of the analogy of my first love when it comes to the MCU. The Avengers, I've seen almost all these films in theaters when they came out, and The Avengers was the first one where I remember distinctly having that theater experience of, oh my gosh, wow, I love these movies. And from there, it was just keep going, right? Just keep on going. And so The Avengers is hard for me. I think it's so good. It's incredibly good. But I think some of these other films, kind of do some things better for me personally, right? So now it's like, I admit now, we're in completely personal, subjective territory here. Because all of these films, like, it's incredible. These 7 films, and now Avengers 8, it's like, swap the order. Doesn't matter. I love all of them. And so I will say Avengers will go, I'm debating whether it goes, I think it's going to go under Wakanda Forever. I think it'll go above Far From Home because it's the Avengers. It's so good, guys. It's so good. The question for me is Wakanda Forever, and I think for the time being, I'm gonna put it above Wakanda Forever. I think it's so amazing that this film exists, and I'm looking at this list now and I'm agonizing over it, and it doesn't matter, guys. Like, they're all, like I said, these are all amazing. In fact, let me just see. Black Panther 1 feels right. Endgame 2 feels right. No Way Home 3 feels right. I don't know. This doesn't sit well. This doesn't sit right with me. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, just checking some settings. Okay. Yeah, this doesn't sit completely right with me, and I wonder if I think it'll go above Far From Home. I might put it under Wakanda Forever. Let me pull up the image first, and we'll talk about it, and then I'll come back to this in a second. But yeah, so let's pull up where is the image here? Oh, I skipped past it. Sorry. I have a lot of images here saved in preparation for the stream. So Avengers. I mean, what can you say? It's a miracle that this film happened, and it kicked off one of the greatest eras of comic book anything ever. And it's just so hard for me because, again, this is also an experiential kind of thing where just the experience of the first Avengers was unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. And, I mean, as a film as well, it does really well. Loki and Hawkeye and Selvig against the rest of the Avengers for a while, and then Hulk and Thor and Iron Man, Cap just interacting, Black Widow for the first time with Nick Fury, Coulson. Battle of New York was awesome. Man, I'm struggling here. Do I put it above Wakanda Forever, though? I think I'm going to put it below. The more I think about Wakanda Forever, though, it's a film that, yes, isn't perfect. Of course it's not perfect, but the way that Ryan Coogler was able to encapsulate just the grief that we were all feeling at the time, at least me personally. And again, I acknowledge, I never knew Chadwick Boseman, of course not, but just the sort of sentiment of grief that he was able to encapsulate in his art it's so incredible. Like the last scene of Wakanda Forever, where Shuri is reflecting and she sees Chadwick Boseman. Yeah, I have to put Wakanda Forever up there. So Avengers is going at 5. Again, nothing against Avengers, obviously. It's top 5 right now for me in the MCU, but yeah, it's incredible. Okay, coming in at number 13 is a film, because I just picked number 13, is a film that will knock Avengers down to 6. Because number 13, the 13th MCU project, is none other than Captain America Civil War. It's a similar thing for me for Spider-Man No Way Home with Avengers. It's like, I can't believe this movie exists. And so I'm going to put Civil War... Now Wakanda Forever is really being a stumbling block for me, because I don't know what to do above and below Wakanda Forever, which is really interesting to me. It's becoming sort of the litmus test for what can go above and what can go below it. But I'm going to put Civil War... I think I'm going to put Civil War... Am I going to put it above Wakanda Forever? Am I going to put it above Wakanda Forever? Yes, I am. I think that Civil War... The one big knock against Civil War that I have, and it's not even the film itself. Honestly, it's not even the film itself. But the one big thing against Civil War that I've always talked about is the fact that the Russos, within the movie, right, set up this whole subplot about these Winter Soldiers, right? And the fact that Zemo was going to go after, these Winter Soldiers, and he was going to go and try to rescue them. And so then, they're setting up this idea that the end of the film was going to be this whole chase with Bucky and Steve rather, and Tony was going to join them, and they were going to all fight these resurrected Winter Soldiers. Nobody believed that. We saw the trailers. Like, the trailers themselves showed the final battle between Iron Man and Cap. And at no point in any rewatch, in my initial watch of Civil War, which, by the way, was one of the greatest theater experiences, I remember sitting in the theater and watching the airport battle, and my jaw was on the floor. It was so incredible. But at no point did any of us believe that they were that they were actually going to do this whole fake Winter Soldier plot. And it's weird for me, because every time you rewatch the film, the Russos are so hell-bent on getting you to believe and buy into this that they're like, oh, what a surprise at the end that Tony and Cap are fighting. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. All that aside, the film had a lot to juggle, but it is so good. It has philosophical arguments, political arguments. It has friendships. It has relationships being broken. Yeah, it's so good. It is incredible. So Winter Soldier here will go. Let me take down the picture. Where did that picture go? Picture is right there. And this is our list so far. Okay, gonna move a little quicker now. As I've been saying for the longest time, we just did 14. 36. Have we done 36? Let me check my list here. Have we done 36? We have not. 36 is She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Now, She-Hulk Attorney at Law is weird, because it's almost the reverse to me of what am I trying to say? It's almost the reverse to me of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because Falcon and the Winter Soldier I remember pretty fondly, even though every time I watch it I don't love it. And I think She-Hulk is the opposite. She-Hulk I don't remember too fondly, but every time I rewatch it I go, wait, this isn't that bad. It's pretty good for the most part. And I think the reason why is because the bad parts to me stick out like a sore thumb to me for She-Hulk. Some of the middle episodes, for example, like the wedding episode, really not good. The ending, clever, but not great. And I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier has the opposite problem, where the good stuff really stands out to me. The good stuff is really good. But She-Hulk, I'm going to put... I enjoy a decent bit of She-Hulk. In fact, I'm going to put it here. Yeah. I mean, again, Iron Man 2 is sticking up there because of the Robert Downey Jr. factor, like I've been saying. Robert Downey Jr. and Paul Rudd just have those, for me at least, have that it factor of, yeah, like if they're, going to be in something, chances are it's going to be, like, I'm going to enjoy it at least 10 to 15% more than I would have otherwise. And I think that She-Hulk, again, I think has a decent bit of good in it. It's funny in certain parts. And Daredevil is really fun in it. Some of the Abomination stuff at the beginning. In fact, the first 3 or 4 episodes are actually really good, in my opinion. the Abomination court case is something that I don't think about too much, but and that's why, because some of the bad stuff sticks out to me much stronger than the good stuff. But no, I definitely think that She-Hulk is not as bad as people think it is, or at least in my opinion, because I know a lot of people don't like She-Hulk, and I'm not talking about the people who don't like women being in superhero movies and whatnot. Not that, just people who genuinely don't like the show. Totally fine. But for me, I think that I think it's a good bit better than I think we all remember it being. So that is where She-Hulk is going to go. Okay, moving on here. Next one up, number 12. Number 12 is that is going to be, yes, that is going to be Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man. First Ant-Man is going to fit. I'm going to have to start really scrolling up and down here because the list is getting really long, as it often does with these big lists. But Ant-Man I always kind of pair near Doctor Strange because I think that those two films are very similar. I put Ant-Man a little higher. Again, one reason, the Paul Rudd factor. I love Paul Rudd. He's so good. He's so good as Ant-Man. So I would put Paul Rudd, I would put Ant-Man above Doctor Strange. And I think it's fair to put it just right here. They always stick together in my lists. And I think it's just because they're very similar. Like, they're very similar origin type films in the MCU to me. And they kind of lack that oomph factor that I was talking about earlier with Winter Soldier. But, I think that they're both incredibly solid. And it just, Paul Rudd, allows the film to eke out just a hair ahead of Doctor Strange. Let me find the image here. There we go. Yeah, so I think that, just because of that, but I think that those two films are very similar. I don't love Caecilius. I don't love Darren Cross. In fact, I would argue that these two films, in terms of quality, in terms of story and whatnot, are more similar than you would remember. You remember them being. So I'm going to put Ant-Man up there and right next to Doctor Strange. Okay, let us keep on chugging. I think I'm going a little faster now, which is, I hope I'm going a little faster. Number 9. Have we done number 9? I think we have. No, we have. We have. That's Winter Soldier. My bad. Okay. We're going to start repeating a lot of things now. Repeating a lot of numbers now. And so hopefully we're going to be able to find new numbers. And by the time we get to the last 5 or so, I might just start going in order. Because I think it just sort of loses the point of the randomization, which I think is really helpful. I always love doing this randomization kind of stuff because it just really helps me look at each project individually. So, but trying to find a new number here. 17. Is that Homecoming? Or no, that's Ragnarok, which we already did. Homecoming is 16. 31, which I feel like we did. 31 was Spider-Man No Way Home. Again, this is going to start happening more and more often as I look for a new number. Okay, found a new number. 34 is Miss Marvel. 34 is Miss Marvel. I really like Miss Marvel. I've said this before. Miss Marvel with these TV shows, right? It's hard to rank them as much as the movies because they're so inconsistent sometimes. I think that Loki has a lot of stuff I love. We're going to talk about Moon Knight a little bit later. I love a lot of Moon Knight, but then there are things about the shows that I also just really don't like. And so Miss Marvel is very similar in that regard because I really like the first 3 episodes of Miss Marvel. I love the first 3 episodes. And then 4 and 5 just take this weird detour. And it feels like that should have been season 2. It's not bad inherently, but even the time travel stuff, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? But then episode 6 kind of, brings us home a little bit. And so for that reason, Miss Marvel will go above Ant-Man for sure. Will it go above the Guardians films is my question. And I think Miss Marvel, it might be the first one to break up these Guardians films because I think it will. I think Miss Marvel is very solid. And I love Iman Vellani. Iman Vellani might also be getting that that little tag of if she's in the movie, it's better. Although, like I've been saying with Paul Rudd and Robert Downey Jr., she might be getting there, very soon. But let me pull up the picture. Although we will talk about the Marvels, maybe not, just depending on where the Marvels ends up on my list here. But yeah, no, I mean Iman Vellani, I love Iman Vellani. She is awesome, and the first 3 episodes, the high school elements of the show, very similar to sort of Spider-Man and his character journey. But yeah. Like I think that she's a treasure, and whenever she shows up in the MCU next, which we've talked about, that she will have a big role in the MCU coming up, and that's exciting. And so looking forward to that coming up. So Miss Marvel will go right there, and we will take down this picture. No, I will not take that down. And where did the picture go? Sorry guys, technical technical, not difficulties, but just technical. There we go. There's the picture. Just trying to figure some things out. Okay, we are back to the list. Next one up is going to be not that one. We've done that one. 39, I don't think we've done. 39, what is 39? 39, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Okay, so this is the other special presentation, and I really like the Holiday Special. It's weird, right? Because I think that it's strange for me to think that this is the best thing that the Guardians films have done. I think it is. I'm going to put it right here. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, 2 asterisks, and we're going to put the. Yeah, I think that the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is the best thing that James Gunn did in the MCU. I think people might say you're crazy for that, and that's totally fine. It is so weird to me how he was able to encapsulate the best parts of Guardians in 45 minutes, better than I think he did in any of his 3 films, which is not a knock against any of those 3 films. I like all of them to varying degrees. But, I think that the Holiday Special had that magic of, I love Christmas, first of all. So Christmas, but I mean, not just because of Christmas, because it had the humor. It's funny. The Kevin Bacon stuff, hilarious, right? But it also had the sentimentality of Peter Quill, missing out on Christmas because he wasn't on Earth. So I think that for me, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special is it just, every time I watch it, I'm so impressed that James Gunn was able to do this. To me, it's the encapsulation of the best things that James Gunn can do with movies and with shows. So we're going to put that one there. Okay, moving along because we don't have all day on this. I don't have all day on this, at least. We're already going a little bit longer than I thought we would. So also, let me just take down, let me do that. There we go. Number 4 is the first Thor movie. I have never been a big fan of this first Thor movie. And for that reason, call me irrational, whatever. Because I know that some people really like this first Thor movie, and people might be like, are you crazy? Like, it's objectively or whatever, you can point to a bunch of things. I get it. Personal list, right? Personal list. I never liked this movie. I don't know what it is. I think that Chris Hemsworth, it's very clear to me how they wrote Chris Hemsworth. They didn't know how to write Chris Hemsworth as Thor until later on in the MCU. And to me, like, the basic story is interesting, sure, about Chris Hemsworth learning to, Thor learning to be more humble and whatnot and all that sort of stuff. But then the stuff on Earth just, it doesn't land on rewatches. Like, it's not funny anymore. Also, nitpicks, I know, nitpicks, but Dutch angles and whatnot, it's just not for me. What's up? Marvel Booner is in the comments or in the chat. Thank you. Love the first Thor. Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people love the first Thor, and that's great. It just never clicked for me, and I don't know why. Again, I go into all these different projects with as open of a mind as I possibly can, and it's just, for whatever reason, every single time I watch this first Thor movie, it just doesn't click for me. So it's a personal thing. I totally admit that. Not that nothing else on this list is not a personal thing, right? I mean, look at this list. It's totally my list, and that's why we do this, because it's showing what speaks to us in different ways, and so I think that is the best part of it. So let us move on to the next one here. Next one, number 12. We just did number 12. 46. I know what number 46 is. Number 46 is Deadpool and Wolverine, the latest MCU movie to come out here. And it will come into this list here. Really entertaining. I think lacks a little bit of that, I've said this many times, but like the emotion factor or whatever. So it lacks a little bit of that for me, but it's definitely going above Guardians. Is it going above Ragnarok? No, it's not going above Ragnarok. It's going above Werewolf by Night. I'm going to put it here. Yep. You might be surprised how much I love the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. I just adore that thing. It's crazy to me. But Deadpool and Wolverine, we've covered that on the channel, a lot. So I'm not going to go too in depth on it here, as I should, not be going too in depth on anything here, because we, again, are not going to go forever. But I think that it's fun, it's funny, it's irreverent, it's Deadpool, it's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine coming back. Thank you, Kevin Feige. Thank you, Deadpool. Thank you, Ryan Reynolds, because it is just a dream come true to see my favorite actor playing his most iconic role, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's so fun. It's so incredibly fun. And there is something to be said about that, even if a film can't deliver that gut punch or whatever. There is something to be said about just having a film that is so aware of what it is. And yeah, that is what Deadpool and Wolverine is. All right, I think we have our next one here. Let me transition off of this one, off the screen here. And the next film up is the 8th MCU film, and it is Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World is a film that, while I don't think is great by any means, I don't think it's terrible. I know some people hate Thor: The Dark World, and to me, I don't quite get that. I think it's totally fine. It's okay. And, you know, Loki is another character where it's like if Loki isn't anything, if Tom Hiddleston's Loki isn't anything, I think automatically becomes better. And so I would put Thor: The Dark World, would I put it above She-Hulk? Probably not. Because Thor: The Dark World is also suffering from that. It's very bland and boring, but I don't hate it. So I'm gonna Captain Marvel though. It's the Loki factor for me. I love Loki. I don't know. I almost put Love and Thunder. Yikes. Thor: The Dark World. I think that again, it's just it's also kind of bland. It's also kind of boring. But I really do like the Loki Thor stuff in this movie. I think is a lot better than people think. You know, people remember it being. And honestly, like I get if you don't love the film. I don't love the film by any means. But people who hate the movie, I haven't really had a big discussion with anybody who's been able to just sort of explain. Yeah, Marvel Booners in the chat. I don't think it's that bad. Again, I don't love it, but I don't quite understand, and nobody has really articulated to me. And I'd love to hear somebody who hates Thor: The Dark World like with a passion. I'd love to hear somebody talk about why they hate it that much, because I'm just interested. I'm just curious to hear different perspectives in that regard. So yeah, Thor: The Dark World. You know, it's not my favorite, but it's I don't think it's that bad. I would happily rewatch Thor: The Dark World. Not every single day, but you know, definitely not the worst one. Okay, next one up, number 28, the 28th MCU. And for those of you who are just joining. By the way, the way that I'm picking which films to select next, I have a random number generator. I have every single MCU project ranked in order of chronological release. And so in that way, just using the random number generator, I'm able to just pick a random MCU film and talk about it without, you know, going like Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, because I feel like that just, you know, makes me rank them in the same way every single time, because I'm just sort of memorizing my own lists and my own personal rankings. So I think this is a lot better for me. Anyways, number 28 is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I love this movie. I can't believe we still haven't gotten to Shang-Chi 2. It is crazy to me. It is almost, I'm not going to say it's criminal, but it's crazy. It's crazy. How have we not gotten Shang-Chi 2? Shang-Chi will definitely go in this range here. Around Avengers, Far From Home, Winter Soldier, it's going to go above Ragnarok. So it's going to go somewhere in here for me. Underneath Wakanda Forever. I think the final battle, like the big dragon stuff, is cool, but it's not amazing. I'm going to put it here. I love this movie, guys. Why have we not gotten Legend of the Ten Rings? Why have we not gotten a Shang-Chi 2? It should have been Marvel's first priority. I don't know if this is a case of the whole, you know, just too much in the pipeline with Bob Chapek. Where's the picture that I saved for? There it is. You know, I don't know if that was what happened here, but I can't believe we haven't gotten a second film for this. It's crazy to me because I love this movie so incredibly much. Is the image loading? It looks like, yeah, there we go. Image is loading. Yeah, this movie to me, it has a great villain. It has a great hero story. It has great action, you know, great conflict. And by the way, if you rewatch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, watch specifically Tony Leung's performance as Wenwu. My gosh, is he so good in this role? I stumbled upon the clip of him at the dinner scene, right? When he's talking to Katie and Shang-Chi and Jialing, right? And where he's just talking like a dad. You know, he's like, where, you know, what happened with Trevor Slattery, and, you know, there was this guy who appropriated my name and said the Ten Rings, and America was terrified by what do you say, a chicken dish? Yeah. I mean, the way that he delivers it is so casual and carefree, and yet so menacing at the same time, somehow. I don't know how he does it. He's such a brilliant actor. And so I'm going to put Shang-Chi really high. Probably way higher than a lot of you guys would. I don't know, actually. Maybe you guys really like Shang-Chi. Let me know in the comments or the chat. But yeah, I really like Shang-Chi. Let me just quickly mute the mic here and take another sip of water before my voice completely dries out. Alrighty, guys. Looks like we're back. Did I not mute the mic? Anyways, let me just make sure that everything else was going on. Good. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry. I was just making sure that everything was good with the mic levels before we moved on to the next one. Okay, so we have, how many projects do we have on this list now? Because at a certain point, the random number generator, it's fun, but it's going to be a little bit of a hindrance at a certain point. Yeah, we're at 32, so we have about 15 more. So I think when we get to like 35-ish, I'm just going to start picking random ones. But for now, I think we have enough that the random number generator should give us different ones with enough frequency that I think it'll be fine. So number 34 we did, Miss Marvel. Number 32, I think we did. No, we didn't. Okay, number 32. See, I told you. It's still enough frequency. Number 32 is Moon Knight. Like I said earlier in this live stream, Moon Knight is very much like Loki to me, where it has some incredible episodes. In fact, Moon Knight is do I like Moon Knight more than Loki? So really, I see Moon Knight and Loki very similarly, and I am actually, I think I'm going to put it here. I love so much of what is going on in Moon Knight, like with Oscar Isaac. By the way, for those of you who are new to the stream or just watching, catching up, the reason I'm putting asterisks there, my gosh, that word I cannot say, is because of just differentiating shows, and then if he gets 2, then it's a special presentation. Anyways, yeah, Moon Knight does so much good, in my opinion. Especially, very much like Loki. Those first 2 episodes of Moon Knight are so incredibly good. The first 2 episodes of Loki are also incredibly good. And while, you know what? Honestly, hold on. I'm thinking about it more now. It's hard. I'm trying to think, do I put it higher than Loki or lower than Loki? I'm going to put it there. I'm going to keep it there. Because I think that while Loki had lower lows than Moon Knight, including the finale and the Lamentis episode, I think it still had higher highs than Moon Knight, and so I'm gonna keep it 1 spot above Moon Knight for now. But excuse me, those 2 things those 2 projects are very, very close. And so I'm gonna, that's where we're gonna leave it for the time being. Okay, moving on to the next one here. 35. Have we done 35 yet? Have we done 35? 35 we have not. See, we are still getting new numbers with enough frequency. Number 35 is Thor, Love, and Thunder. Thor, Love, and Thunder is a movie I really don't like. I really don't like Thor, Love, and Thunder. In fact, it is going right here. It is going third to last. I like it better than Thor. Do I like it? Yeah, Echo was fine. Echo was fine. I don't like Thor, Love, and Thunder, guys. It's that film to me. The more I watch Thor, Love, and Thunder, the worse it gets. It is so bizarre to me how Taika Waititi had such a good balance of humor, but also story and characters. I'm not even gonna say emotion. Sorry, I just dropped something. Not even emotion, but just character work, right? And to me, Thor, Love, and Thunder got rid of all of that. I don't know why. I don't know how. I get that the cancer stuff with Jane, it's sad. It's very sad, but it's weird to me because it's weird to me because it's like he decided, oh, let's just pull the humor up to 11 and just ditch a lot of the other things. Like the scene where Jane reveals to Thor that she has cancer is so bizarre, as she's just like, oh, I have cancer, and you're like, whoa. What in the world? Like, how did that, how was that the revelation? I don't know, guys. The eternity stuff I thought was dumb. Christian Bale was wasted, in my opinion, in this movie. I just don't like this movie that much. And that's what we're going to say about that one. So, Thor, Love, and Thunder, near the bottom. Alrighty. Let's see if we can't pull another new number here. Number 44, I don't think we've done. What is 44? 44 is The Marvels. Okay. The Marvels. Huh. I've only seen The Marvels once. To be fair, I've only seen a lot of these Phase 5 projects once. And after the DCEU rewatch is done, we still have a long, long way to go for the DCEU rewatch. So, long way to go for that. But once that is done, I will likely transition to an MCU Phase 5 rewatch, because probably around that time will be when Phase 5 concludes with Ironheart, I think technically is the last project in Phase 5 before we get to Fantastic Four First Steps. So, or maybe Ironheart is Phase 6. I don't know. Whatever. At a certain point, I'll transition to rewatching the Phase 5 stuff again, and that'll be the next rewatch podcast series that's going on concurrently with your regularly scheduled Access Blockbusters pod episodes. So I'll rewatch them eventually. I haven't seen the Marvels in a long time. Like, it came out in November 2023. That was the last time I saw it. It was weird. It was a really weird movie because it was not that good, I don't think. But it had some entertainment value. I like Iman Vellani a lot. It's also weird seeing the film after Secret Invasion because the Nick Furies between those two films are entirely different characters, so it's weird. I like the chemistry enough between Monica, Carol, and Kamala Khan. It's just hard because it's not my favorite. It's gonna be somewhere in here. I probably like it less than She-Hulk. Do I like it more than the first Captain Marvel? I think Captain Marvel, weirdly enough, is a more competently made movie. I really do. But the Marvels was so bizarrely not good, but yet entertaining, that I think I'm going to put it probably here for now. Yeah, probably there. It's just weird. Like, the cat scene, where they're singing, or where Memory is playing, and all the Flurkins are eating everybody, was by far the most memorable scene in the entire movie. And I was laughing so hard, but at the same time, as I was laughing, I was like, "Wow, this is not good. This is bizarre. What's going on here?" And so because of that, it's a really hard movie to rate for me. But I'm gonna put it there for now. Okay, let us get back to the list here. We are almost done, guys. This has been crazy. I thank you so much for everyone who stopped by at any point in this live stream. This is my first one. I can't promise we're going to be doing these super often because A, my voice, and B, just time. But this is just a random thing we're doing here, and it's just for fun before Captain America Brave New World, which I am quite excited about. Waiting for the first reviews to drop, and that'll determine a lot about where this movie ends up in terms of excitement. But for now, we are going to continue on. 36. I think 36 is also a new thing. Am I right? Am I wrong? No, 36 was She-Hulk. 29, I believe, is new, though. 29. Okay, 29. The 29th released MCU project is Eternals. This one, I know, is controversial because, frankly, it had a very low critical reception, and a lot of people, I know, personally, don't like the movie. I don't care. I love Eternals. Eternals gets better every single time I watch it. It's one of those things where, you have movies and shows that you watch and you're like, I don't get it. I don't get why people like it that much, or I don't get why people hate it that much. And that's Eternals for me. I love Eternals. And Eternals will go here. And I know people are like, that's crazy. How do you like Eternals that much? It's just the story. It's a story about humanity. Right? It's a story that shows there is good in humanity. And yes, there are, it's not a perfect movie. Of course not. I definitely, what am I doing? I almost pulled up the Hawkeye image. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's a story about humanity, right? And it's a story that, I think all the characters have their moment to shine. I like the structure a lot. People are like, it's slow, it's boring. I mean, it's Chloe Zhao, right? Chloe Zhao. Yeah, hey, Marvel Booner. I totally get it. I know a lot of people tell me they really don't like Eternals. I totally get it. I love Eternals though. The character work I think is amazing. I think the cinematography is great. I think the story about a family that's breaking up and the moral dilemmas that they have to go through is great. I have complaints with the movie. I don't think Angelina Jolie's Eternal was super interesting. I think that her fight with Crow at the end should have been Dane Whitman because it's weird how Kit Harington did nothing in that movie. And so that's strange to me. But yeah, I mean, I know this is a movie that probably will differ the most on most people's lists compared to mine. But for me, Eternals is it gets better every single time I watch it. So Eternals will be at number 10 for now. Alrighty, guys, let's keep going. 39. Did we do 39? We did. That was Guardians. I think we have a couple in the 40s that I'm seeing right now, and then a couple at the beginning. And so I think at a certain point, so we just got a new one, I think, 27. Yes, we did. But I think after this one, we will start just picking them off one by one, and because I think that'll be more fruitful. So number 27 is Black Widow. Yeah, I think with Black Widow, we are officially 10 away. So I'm just going to start going, first the top one I see, then the bottom one I see, then we're just going to kind of go in that order. So Black Widow. Black Widow, I think, is also in the camp of I like it a little more than these two, like Quantumania, Multiverse of Madness. I think Multiverse of Madness and Quantumania are just in the realm of okay and entertaining. I think Black Widow is a little more competent than competently made than those two films. Quite frankly, I just think it's more solid. That's the word. It's more solid than those two. Iron Man 3, Black Widow. It's gonna be somewhere in this range. Like it's okay. I think it's definitely going to be below Moon Knight because I think these two shows did a lot that I just loved, but they also did a lot that I really didn't like. I'm going to put it here. Oops. Whoops. Love Yelena. Love Red Guardian. I think there is a lot of good stuff in Black Widow. People hate Taskmaster. Not my favorite villain. Dreykov, not my favorite either. But I don't hate them, that much. Yeah, Marvel Boone, you 100% agree with it. Are you talking about the Black Widow stuff? Because I think that it's just really solid for me. And every single time I see the film, I'm like, it's never gonna stick with me, And frankly, not the movie's fault, right? They should have made this movie way long ago. I don't know what took them so. I do know what took them so long. It was Ike Perlmutter and the whole Disney. Infighting and whatnot that was going on at that point, that they didn't want to make a Black Widow movie, which is crazy because this movie should have come right after Civil War. It definitely should have. And the fact that it didn't is crazy. But yeah, I mean, that hurt it a little bit because, this movie came out after Natasha died, which is sad. The Black Widow stuff. Yeah, for sure. I think that it's just really solid. And, I think that this film also probably gets forgotten a little bit, but really solid movie. And again, I have to emphasize, it does some things really well, in my opinion. Yelena, Red Guardian. Natasha's stuff in the movie is okay, honestly. She doesn't get a whole lot to do, honestly, in her own movie, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I mean, setting up Yelena and Alexei to be big parts of Thunderbolts itself, which is I'm looking forward to a lot, is exciting. So definitely really solid there. Okay, guys, we have 10 more projects, I believe. And so this is the list thus far. Yep, 37, Incredible Hulk, just hanging out there at the bottom. And so now I'm just going to go from basically, I have the whole list of chronological order. From the remaining ones, I'm going to go bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. We're just going to keep going until we reach the middle, and then we're going to be done. So the next one up at the very bottom of this list is Loki Season 2. Loki Season 2. And again, it's weird because in an ideal world, I would rank Loki Season 1 and Loki Season 2 together because I've said this many, many, many times. It is one season of television. I don't understand why they split it. I've said this way too much on this channel, but I'm going to say it again. Loki Season 2 the first episode, starts seconds after the last episode of Season 1. I don't get it. Why is this 2 seasons? Because the ending of Loki Season 1 was so dissatisfying. But it's how Marvel released them, and so it's how I'm going to rank them. So, Loki Season 2 is really good. Really solid, I should say. And pretty good in most parts. And again, Jonathan Major stuff aside, he was really solid as Victor Timely. And the ending for God of Stories Loki, I loved. A lot of the time stuff as well was really fun. I think this was one of the first seasons post WandaVision, which is crazy because there were so many shows between WandaVision and Loki Season 2. But this was one of the first shows where I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is good. Like this is good television. And so throughout, I mean, because again, Loki Season 1 and Moon Knight had really good stuff in it, but throughout, like consistently. So because of that, do I like it more than Miss Marvel? I think so. Do I like it more than Guardians 3? I think so. Werewolf by Night, yes. I'm gonna put it here. I really do like Loki Season 2. It is, I think it is everything, maybe to a lesser degree, like the stuff that Loki Season 1 did well. I don't think Loki Season 2 did as well, per se. Do I have a picture for Loki Season 2? I don't think I do, which is a little unfortunate. I thought I did. Okay, anyways, that's fine. We can just look at the list here. Or I can, let me just pull up the image for Loki Season 1 instead. There we go. I had an image for Loki Season 2. It was the God of Stories Loki, but anyways. And it just kind of disappeared on me. But I think that the things that Loki Season 2, Loki Season 1 rather, did well, I don't think Loki Season 2 did as well. But I think it still did a really good job of those things, and those things being Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston together, the time travel kind of stuff, just going through different universes and different timelines, which is really fun. and all that kind of jazz. That stuff was really fun. And the stuff that Loki season 1 didn't do well, I think Loki season 2 clamped down on big time. And so I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, the ending was really good, really solid. Alrighty, let's move on to the next project up here. Let me take this image down really quick. Alrighty, next one up. We're going to go back to the top. And actually, interestingly enough, we have not done number 1. And number 1 is Iron Man. Iron Man is so good, so solid. And I always, it's such an easy shortcut for me because I think, and I know at least one person in this chat is going to feel outraged by this, but I kind of see Iron Man and Eternals for very different reasons being kind of similar. They always stick together in my rankings. I think Iron Man will go above Eternals, but I think that they're very close to me. The first Iron Man, and it's amazing because they talk about the fact that, they didn't make this movie with a script, like a finished script, which is unbelievable. I don't know how that happens. You do know how that happens. And we talked about how James Gunn, wants to really prioritize those finished scripts and whatnot, which is great. And it's a very different approach than what Marvel does because Marvel did not have a finished script for Iron Man, and it is so good. The ending with Jeff Bridges, for sure, is a little bit wacky. Jeff Bridges doing his best. I'm going to kill you. I'm an evil robot suit guy, and I'm going to kill you. That being said, I just think it's the Robert Downey Jr. factor. It's all these other things that are going on with the character development and with just how incredibly solid this movie is that it is going to be very close to the top 10 by the time this is all said and done. So there is that. Okay. So I went back to the bottom of my chronological list, and the reason I laughed is because the next one up is going to be a fun one. The next one up is Secret Invasion. Okay, in fairness, I have not rewatched Secret Invasion in a long time because I haven't rewatched anything in Phase 5. I actually, that's not true. I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 once, but everything else in Phase 5 I have not seen again. And Secret Invasion, again, all my spoiler discussions, my reviews are on the channel. And so you can go check out my instant thoughts, like thoughts that I had as soon as those episodes were over. I didn't hate the show as much as a lot of people do. I think that, well, I don't know. I'm just curious to see how my opinion might change with the rewatch, because it might very well change drastically. That being said, it's hard for me because I acknowledge a lot of the things they did canon-wise with Secret Invasion are terrible. Like, canonicity-wise, really bad decisions were made. Killing off Maria Hill and Talos on their own it's not a bad thing inherently, I would say. But it's just weird that they did it in that way. I don't know why they did it in that way. It's just strange. Sorry. Wait 1 second. I thought I had the list pulled up the whole time. There we go. That's one thing about doing this live. There we go. Anyways, so killing them off, like, if there was a narrative reason for it, then that's fine. I'm all for it. Obviously not fine, but just in terms of if it serves the narrative. But then, the roadie stuff, I still maintain though, and I get it. Like, if the original intention was, Rhodey is a Skrull in Civil War, it's terrible. It's a terrible, 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 terrible idea. But I'm a little bit less concerned because I'm sure Feige knows that, and we've heard rumors that Armor Wars has been being reworked, right? And so based on the reception, the negative backlash of Secret Invasion, and so I would assume that's part of it, right? The whole Rhodey stuff is a part of it, and I think that's super easy to retcon, honestly. Like, sure, he can be wearing a hospital gown, but he could have been just getting leg surgery, like his leg things that Tony gave him repaired or something like that, right? Like, that hospital gown, yes, implied Civil War, but doesn't have to be. So that one I'm not worried about. It's funny because I've been watching the John Campea show pretty regularly for quite a while, and he refers to Emilia Clarke's character as Kira because that's her character from Solo. That's not her name. Her name is Gaia. That's her name. Gaia is crazy. Like, that's a crazy character that is just running around in the MCU now and is canon. It's crazy. Let me just get to the ranking first, pull up the picture, and then we can talk further. I don't know. On its own, like, individually as its own show, I don't hate it. Don't like it. Don't love it. And that's disappointing in its own right because Secret Invasion as a concept has the potential to be one of the best MCU things ever. It does. So for that reason, I'd probably put it under the Marvels and She-Hulk. I don't know if I'd put it under Thor: The Dark World. I think I would, but and under Captain Marvel, I would put it here. It's a weird show. It's just really weird, you know? Because some of the things they do in that show are pretty good, like the spy espionage kind of stuff, but then they just make a bunch of weird, like really bizarre decisions. And so it's just gonna hang out there. But yeah, let me just pull up the image really quick. It's just a weird show, and I don't know. Frankly, I'm very curious. Oh, that's what happened. I don't have an image for it. Interestingly enough, that's funny. I'll just pull up this image instead, and we can talk about Secret Invasion. I accidentally saved the Loki Season 2 image under the Secret Invasion banner on my streaming software, so we can look at Loki from Season 2, which is a much better show, much better season of television. But it's going to be interesting, I think, to rewatch that show, because I just don't know. I just don't know if I'm going to hate it like everyone else does, or if I'm just going to feel the same about Secret Invasion. So that is where that one is going to go. Okay, let's pull this image down because it has nothing to do with Secret Invasion. Alrighty, let's jump back to the top. Next one up, Captain America, the First Avenger. Really solid film. I know a lot of people love this movie. I don't love it. I like it. And it falls into this Black Widow range for me. I will put it one above, but they're very similar to me. Captain America, the First Avenger. I know a lot of people like this movie a lot, and they put it near the top of their lists. And for me, it's really, really solid. Very, very solid movie. I can never put it much higher than this because it's just not, it just doesn't have a whole lot of, like it's just solid, but it doesn't have that oomph, right? I don't know how else to describe it, honestly, other than that oomph factor. But yeah, guys, like it's really solid, and it's a great introduction to Steve. But every time I watch it, I go, yeah, that was good, and then I just kind of forget about it immediately. So Captain America, the First Avenger. I'm moving a little faster, not because I don't want to talk about these movies, but because we are almost at 2 hours, and I would like to finish up in the next by the end of the hour. In the next few minutes, or at least, maybe in like 10 or 15 minutes or so. And we're almost done. We are almost done. So let's go back to the bottom of the list. Keep going. Hawkeye is next. And I think Hawkeye, no, I'm wrong. Okay, there are a couple more projects post Endgame that we have to talk about. Hawkeye. I rewatched Hawkeye. And if you've seen the rewatch video, I really liked Hawkeye. I get it. There are some story problems, and it's going to fall here, somewhere here for me. And I think, let's see, Hawkeye to me is just so solid. I mean, it suffers from to a weirder, lesser degree than Civil War. Has the same problem of they're setting up Jack Duquesne to be the villain, like the fake villain, I should say, and then they're faking you out with Kingpin. I'm gonna put it one above. I love Christmas too, and I know that's a weird rationale for putting it one higher than Loki season 2 or whatever. But I love the tone. I think that Kate Bishop really does grow on you as a character. Yelena stuff is so good in the show. It's so good. And it feels like a show. Granted, it feels like a kind of rushed and truncated show. Just like with every other MCU project, it could have benefited from, a couple more episodes. Yeah, you loved Hawkeye too, Marvel Booner. Yeah, no, absolutely. It could have benefited from a couple more episodes, but every time I see this movie or I see things from it, I'm like, wow, this is good. Like it has a lot of warmth to it too, which is funny because Clint Barton, Jeremy Renner, is just being a curmudgeon the whole movie, which is funny to me. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot to like here, and I think by the end of the show, I'm really on board with Haley Steinfeld because she is very unlikable at the beginning, but I think as you watch the show, you realize it's very intentional to get her to have some more character growth there. So that is where Hawkeye is going to go. Just a few more, guys, and then we will wrap it up. It's been 2 hour long live stream, but it's been really fun. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do this more often in the future. This is really my big test run for this kind of thing. Let me transition back to here. And I've been learning a lot in the past couple hours. I learned a lot last night as well. And yeah, it's been a fun thing. So let's keep going. We are almost done here. Next project up, Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Guardians 1, to me, and I said this earlier, is the best. Well, I said that the Guardians Holiday Special is the best thing that Guardians has done, that James Gunn has done with Guardians. I think Guardians 1 is the best Guardians film, and so for me it's in this range, and I would put it here. Again, I think what's remarkable is how consistent these films are, right? Guardians Holiday Special, Guardians 3, Guardians 1, Guardians 3, and Guardians 2. But yeah, I mean, James Gunn is James Gunn, and he knows like what he's good at. And sometimes I would argue Creature Commandos, he goes a little bit too far, I would say. And I know some people have the first Guardians all the way in like their top 5. That's amazing. I really like the first Guardians. A great introduction to these characters, But yeah, I mean, I never got it. What is it? As invested in this team as a lot of other people did. They were like, I like them a lot. Obviously, I like them a lot. Love Groot. The ending with Groot in this movie was great. But yeah, I mean, I like this film a lot, and I think it has a lot going for it. I don't love Ronan as a villain. Honestly, I don't. But yeah, I mean, I think that this film is really good, and it shows the potential. Or it showed, rather, at the time, the potential of somebody like James Gunn. Give me 1 second, guys. Just going to take another quick drink of water. Going to mute the mic, and we'll be right back in just 5 seconds. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, the reason I can't do this as often as I'd like is because I'm the only host, and the reason that podcasts have co-hosts is because if you talk for too long, your voice is going to die. Thankfully, my voice is doing okay, and that is also part of the reason why I podcast in segments, and so that I could record 10-minute segments at a time, and then put them all together for the episodes. Which, by the way, for those of you who are new to the channel, if you're just hanging out here, welcome to Access Blockbusters. This is just my first big live stream, or big, I mean like actual live stream. I was doing some tests last night, you might have seen. But yeah, this has been really fun. And, just doing one in advance of Captain America Brave New World. But also we have our regularly scheduled programming is an episode of a podcast every single week, or the Access Blockbusters pod, where I release it somewhere between Saturday and Monday. And actually I'm going to do something new starting with this episode. I actually already did, where the YouTube video will go live just as it's convenient, because there are some segments that I think need to come out quicker, just because otherwise they're going to be completely irrelevant. So like reviews of episodes, for example, if I wait too long to release the individual segments as clips, I might end up releasing a review of something after the next episode has come out. That's counterproductive. So I think actually in the next few minutes, actually right now, there's going to be a video going live, which is I think my review, spoiler discussion of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the first 2 episodes. But the video version of the entire podcast will be coming out, I think, on Monday. But I've been trying something new here, where I'm going to be releasing just ahead of time. So if you guys are interested in hearing the whole podcast ahead of time, it will be released on all the audio platforms early. So Saturday mornings, the audio, no matter when the video podcast will be released, the audio only podcast will be released in its entirety on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, and all that good stuff. So anyways, if you're new here, welcome. Really great to have you guys. Make sure to subscribe, give the video a like, check out the podcast on Spotify, Anchor, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and check out some of the YouTube videos on the channel. Great to have you guys. All right, that is enough. We are final stretch here, home stretch here. I'm actually, do we only have 2 more? Is that right? Are we at 40? We're at 43. Let me just count on my counting list how many more okay, I see 1, I see 2. Just want to make sure I'm not missing, because we should have 4 more. So I see 1, I see 2, I see 3. Okay, and I see, that's incredible. Okay, a couple of those films that are left on my list that we haven't talked about yet, it's incredible. Okay, I'm gonna save those 2 for last, actually. So actually, excuse me, tongue-tied. We're gonna go from the top down. from here on out, because I was jumping back and forth between the end of the list and the beginning of the list. We're just going to go from the beginning because I want to save those last two for last. It's incredible now that I'm looking. I didn't even realize. You guys might have realized if you've been sticking around this entire time that those two projects had been last. Completely unintentional, but it's amazing. Okay, next one up then will be Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I think it's similar. It falls in this bucket of like actually this bucket of good, decent, solid, just lacking that extra oomph. And I would put Age of Ultron probably. I think Ultron is a very underrated villain, though. I would put it here. Yeah, I think Avengers: Age of Ultron is solid, but not. It just like I said in my initial, and this was a long time ago. But when I did my very first MCU ranking, sorry, my first MCU Infinity Saga watch here, I'm just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, you didn't really like Ronan either. Yeah, I didn't love Ronan as a character, honestly. But yeah, when I did my very, very first MCU Infinity Saga watch, I talked about how Avengers: Age of Ultron was Avengers light to me. Like all the things Avengers did well, Avengers: Age of Ultron did well, but to a lesser degree. And it did some other things that I just don't think were as good as the first Avengers film. So for that reason, it's always decent, it's always solid, but it's never going to really transcend above that, in my opinion. And so we are going to move on to the next one here. 3 more on this list, and I cannot believe the last 2 projects we're going to talk about were saved for last. That is completely unintentional. But before we get to that, next one up is Spider-Man: Homecoming. I cannot tell you guys how much I love Spider-Man: Homecoming. I do think because Spider-Man: No Way Home is Spider-Man: No Way Home, it's not as good as Spider-Man: No Way Home, I don't think, but it's close, guys. It is, to me, it's alarming how close Spider-Man: Homecoming is to Spider-Man: No Way Home. I love Peter Parker. I love this version of Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland Spider-Man, like so much. I know there's the Tobey debate, there's the Andrew debate, all that kind of stuff, and I think that Andrew Garfield is the best actor, and I think that in those scenes that you have Andrew Garfield in No Way Home, he's the best actor. Like that's why people were like, oh my gosh, he's the best Spider-Man. I still think when you're talking about best Spider-Man, sorry, there are sirens going on in the background. Apologies for that. When you're talking about best Spider-Man, though, you have to take into account them as Spider-Man. And I know, again, controversial maybe. I rewatched those Spider-Man films a while ago in preparation for No Way Home. That's on the YouTube channel. I didn't really like The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one. I definitely didn't like the second one. So it's weird. It's weird to me. But anyways, all that aside, I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. What I said about Far From Home way back when, Far From Home was like the 6th project we ranked here. It's crazy. What I said about that one is it rings true. This is so high school. It's so relatable. Vulture is one of the best MCU villains. I don't care. He's so good. And the twist with him being Liz's dad is unbelievable. I am going to put it here. I'm going to put it above Avengers. I know that might be controversial. I love Homecoming so much. And I cannot say enough good things about Adrian Toomes, about Michael Keaton's Vulture. Actually, for those of you who have been, I'm sure you guys watch other bigger YouTube channels as well, who cover Marvel and DC and all that kind of stuff. If you guys watch Christian Harloff at all, I know I've been really enjoying watching his rewatches of the MCU with his friend Sam. And they just did Homecoming, so it's actually a really fun way, while I'm doing something else, while I'm editing videos or, cooking dinner or something like that, just to have that playing. And it's a great way for me to relive those MCU Infinity Saga movies without having to rewatch all of them, which is kind of funny because those reaction videos are like an hour long each, so it's like only half. It's not like it's saving me that much time. But anyways, yeah, it's really like, and I saw the Homecoming one the other day, and it's so good. I just can't believe how good it is. And I have to rewatch the Spider-Man trilogy at some point because, as you can see from this list, it's getting up there, right? Like those 3 films are way up there because I love them. I really do. So there is that. All right, guys, I can't believe I've said this many times in the past few minutes. I can't believe that these 2 projects are the last ones that we have to rank. The next one up is Avengers: Infinity War, and this one, it's going to take a behemoth to knock it down. I don't even know if Doomsday and Secret Wars are the best, like individual movies, like if they're the best made movies, of all time, I still don't know if they can knock down Infinity War, because Infinity War not only was an incredible movie to me, and it's going at number one, obviously. Obviously, I mean, based on what I've been just talking about. It's not only the best, movie to me, or one of the best movies. Because yes, sure, you can nitpick some things. I've nitpicked it, it's a bit overstuffed and there's a lot going on, for sure. All that kind of stuff. But it was the culmination. Like, it's the reason that it was that good is because it was the culmination of everything that came before it, and it was beautiful. And I usually am somebody who really likes my movies to have hopeful endings. I watched Parasite when it came out, and I gotta say, it made me feel disgusting about just being a human, because I was like, humans being capable of that is just terrifying. And it's hard for me to separate that out, right? To separate, it's a well-made movie, but I hated watching it. Like, how do you separate that, right? And so usually I like my movies to have hopefulness, right, in them. That being said, this is one of the rare exceptions to me where the ending is dark. It is dreary. But I love this movie. And just the emotion at the end, but also the big moments and the small moments, the little pieces of dialogue where Vision is talking about removing the Mind Stone even, and all that kind of stuff. It's so good to me. Yeah, Infinity War is your favorite movie too. That I even if Doomsday is nominated for Best Picture and wins Best Picture, I don't know if it can top Infinity War. I would welcome it, because obviously that means you get a movie that's better than Infinity War, in my opinion at least. But that would be crazy. So Infinity War is going to be my number one film, or number one project, in the MCU. But that leaves one project, and it is so fitting that it is the only one left, because I think we're at 46. We are at 46, guys. This is project number 47. We have been going over 2 hours long. Thank you so much for joining. This has been an amazingly fun live stream. We have our final project. I'm going to put the final project up. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to talk about the whole ranking. I'm going to read my whole list here, and then we'll be out of here. WandaVision. I don't care what people say about this. I've said this before, and I am unafraid and unabashed when I say WandaVision is my second favorite MCU project ever. Oops, I almost put Avengers WandaVision. What am I doing? WandaVision. It is incredible what they were able to pull off. And I don't care, honestly, that the ending is, the last episode is weaker, There was a lot of stuff with COVID and whatnot, for sure. But I said this about Skeleton Crew, right? With Skeleton Crew, when we got to the last episode, and before I watched the last episode, I said, it almost doesn't matter how good the last episode is, because every single episode before then has been so good that even if the last episode is terrible, the show is still awesome. And WandaVision, to me, I know people have complaints about the last episode, and that's great. That's totally fine. I did too, to a lesser degree. I still think the last episode is okay, though. Like the two Visions talking and stuff like that. And yeah, is it a lot of hand-waving and spell casting and stuff? Yeah, for sure. It is. And did COVID play a part in that? Yes, absolutely it did. If you watch behind-the-scenes videos, they had to shut down, I think, right before filming the finale. And that might explain some things for you guys. But yeah, I don't think it's that bad, the action stuff. And to me, they still nailed the emotional ending. That scene where Wanda has to say goodbye to Vision is so incredibly well done. I cannot believe how good this series is. And when I look at my list, and we'll go over my list in just a second. Sure, phases 4 and 5 have had some duds. And you can see at the bottom of my list, there's a lot of phase 4 and phase 5 in there. But there's a lot of phase 4 and phase 5 that's also at the top. So to me, when I look back on phase 4 and phase 5, and look ahead to hopefully the next really big wave of good stuff that's coming. We had Loki season 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha All Along was solid, and I'm hoping Cap 4, Daredevil Born Again looks great. I'm hoping that 2025 is really the resurgence of projects starting to enter the top half of this list again, because being in the top half of this list is, like, you might think, oh, top half, like number 20, not a good thing. It's a really good thing, because even despite everything, I think a lot of these projects on this list are still incredibly solid. And it's just a testament to how good the MCU is. So, yeah, but WandaVision is the crown jewel to me of what Marvel can still accomplish post-Endgame. People are like, what's the point? This is the point. this show is the point. So WandaVision is my second favorite MCU project ever. So let us now go back to the original list here, and this is it, guys. This is my full I'm gonna move the cursor away because it's a little bit annoying, I know. This is my updated MCU ranking. I do this once in a while just on my own personally, and every time I do it, this becomes my new list. You know, I love the randomness, I love the random number generation and all that kind of stuff, because it's just, you know, it makes me rethink about everything. So going from I'll read the whole list from top to bottom, and then I'll talk about a couple things that I want to point out here, just some things that you might notice from this list and what stands out to me as being my favorite and my least favorite. But yeah, and then we'll be out of here. So Infinity War, number 1. Number 2, WandaVision. Number 3, Black Panther. Number 4, Endgame. Number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 6, Captain America Civil War. Number 7, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, another Phase 4 project. Number 8, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 9, The Avengers. Number 10, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, another Phase 4 project. Number 11, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 12, Captain America the Winter Soldier. Number 13, Thor Ragnarok. Number 14, Iron Man. Number 15, Eternals. Love Eternals. Well, actually, I was going to say something. Sorry, wait. I'm dumb. Hold on. I thought I had the list pulled up, and I just noticed on my screen that I did not. Sorry, guys. First time streaming. That is my bad. We'll read the list out again in just a second here. Where did that... Oh, I see what I did. Okay, I just didn't hit the button. Sorry, guys. We're going to start again. Number 1, Avengers Infinity War. Number 2, WandaVision. Number 3, Black Panther. Number 4, Avengers Endgame. Number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 6, Captain America Civil War. Number 7, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Number 8, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 9, The Avengers. Number 10, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Number 11, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 12, Captain America the Winter Soldier. Number 13, Thor Ragnarok. Number 14, Iron Man. Number 15, Eternals. Number 16, The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Number 17, Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 17, Hawkeye. Number 18, Loki Season 2. Number 19, did I say 8? Whatever, 18, Hawkeye. 19, Loki Season 2. 20, Guardians of the Galaxy. 21, Werewolf by Night. 22, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 23, Miss Marvel. 24, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 25, Ant-Man. 26, Doctor Strange. 27, Ant-Man the Wasp. 28, Agatha All Along. 29, Loki Season 1. 30, Moon Knight. 31, Avengers Age of Ultron. 32, Captain America the First Avenger. 33, Black Widow. 34, Iron Man 3. 35, Falcon and the Winter Soldiers. 36, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. 37, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. 38, Iron Man 2. 39, She-Hulk Attorney at Law. And 40, The Marvels. 41, Thor the Dark World. 42, Captain Marvel. 43, Secret Invasion. 44, Echo. 45, Thor Love and Thunder. 46, Thor. And 47, The Incredible Hulk. That is my complete list, guys. Before we go, just want to point out a couple things here. Just some things that I notice every time. Also, I want to say that, my mind will change. It absolutely will change. Every single time I just do this list, when you're re-ranking blindly 47 projects, you're bound to shuffle a few things around. Like, this is more or less the same list that I have going currently, and this will now be my current list. But it will change. It will absolutely change. So again, if you see me do another ranking at some point, because also the reason I wanted to do this on live stream is because there's no way I would be able to do this in a podcast episode. It would be the entire podcast episode. Hint, hint, wink, wink. When we get there with the DCEU, that will be its own podcast episode. But that is still a long way away. We still have we're only at Wonder Woman, and I have a lot of episodes banked, so we'll be ready for that. But anyways, yeah, I mean, so my mind will change. It can change, and it will change. As my sensibilities do. If I did this list again in 30 minutes, it would be different. I guarantee you it would be different. So there is that. But I wanted to point out here, again, people are like, Marvel's dead. Marvel's terrible. I still, like, Incredible Hulk being my least favorite, I don't hate any of these movies. I think, like, if you're to bucket these in tiers, right? Honestly, these are the only three that I just really don't like. These three. Hulk, Thor, Love and Thunder. Just don't like them. Then you get to this tier, like if you want to break it up into kind of tiers, right? You get to this tier from Echo to Iron Man 2. It's really messy, and there's a lot of not great stuff going on in these projects, but they're okay. Like they have enough good stuff in them to not be jumbled up with these three. That's what this tier is. And then you have this chunk here, where I think you end with Loki season 2, like probably Agatha All Along, where it's like, maybe Ant-Man and the Wasp, where it's like, these films range from okay to pretty good. And there's nothing super egregious about any of them. I mean, like the lower they are, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Multiverse. In fact, maybe you know what? Maybe I lied. Maybe if you go from Echo to like Iron Man 3, is where there are some weird things going on with these projects, but ultimately they're like entertaining enough. But then you go from Black Widow to maybe I want to say like Miss Marvel-y Guardians 3 kind of range, right? Not Werewolf by Night. I think Werewolf by Night is a different tier. So you go from like here, and these projects are all really solid. You know, I think they're really solid. I would go maybe like here, here-ish. Where yeah, I mean they're not my favorites, but I really enjoy them all. And then you start getting into these are really good. Like these are good projects. It goes up to Iron Man, I think, where it's like these are so solid, so good in my opinion. Not great, but good. And then you just get up to this list, and that's what I'm saying. Like if you're ranked number 13, that's not a bad thing. These films are incredible. It's amazing how you can have 13 MCU projects and have them all be so good and like so ranked so high on this list. And so I just want to point out, you know, just for my own sake here, but yeah, it's like it for me to say that the MCU is dead. I think the MCU is obviously on a downswing. Like let's look at this list here. You know, Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 4, or Phase 5. I don't even know. Let's just say Phase 4, Phase 5. You know, 4 or 5, 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 4 or 5. So yeah, 4 or 5. Like there's a lot of them populating the bottom of this list. To be fair, there's just a lot of them in general, right? So I mean that makes some sense. But like I've been saying, WandaVision, number 2, Phase 4, Phase 5. No Way Home, Phase 4, Phase 5. Wakanda Forever. You know, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Holiday Special, Deadpool and Wolverine, Hawkeye. Look at this. So, you know, in my opinion, Phase 4 and Phase 5, excuse me, have been mixed bags for sure. But I have confidence, I guess, that especially now with Feige understanding he needs to course correct because he's been given authority back. I have confidence, you know, that that with these upcoming films, these upcoming projects now, that he'll be able to course correct and he'll be able to do it. And I really do have the confidence that he can get it done. So guys, that will do it for this first big live stream. I went on for a lot longer than I thought I would. I kind of thought that might happen, but still it's been kind of amazing that my voice is held up for this long. So thank you guys for joining. I will be posting this as a separate playback if you guys are interested. If you missed a part, for everyone who joined in the chat, thank you so much. For the most part, the conversation was really respectful and productive, even though you know, we disagreed on some things, which is, again, that's what we expect. And yeah, guys, that is it. This will all be on the channel for you guys to watch. And you know, look forward to. I will probably make a more proactive announcement about a live stream. You know, in a future. If I do a future live stream, I should say. And so, yeah, I think that, you know, in the future, look out for them, but they won't be happening too often, I don't think. But we will see what happens there. So guys, thank you so much. Clips from the Access Blockbusters pods will be released, as always, every single day, and the full podcast will be up on Monday in video form, but also it is already up on audio platforms. And that is the cadence for the foreseeable future. And if and when I need to take a break or I need to step away, I have a lot of other, you know, content ready for you guys. DCE rewatch, you know, we're at Wonder Woman, and so we will keep going from here. Yeah, thank you, Marvel Booner, for joining. It's just great to be able to interact with you guys in the chat. So thank you all for those who are watching back the live stream. For those of you guys who are interested, more live streams, let me know in the comments. And for those of you guys who interacted with the chat, who are in here, thank you so much. And that will do it for me from this live stream. Never said that before. And I will see you guys in the next one.